and let it.
Lads and laddet.
Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. It's all in the past.
Good afternoon and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith, and it is Match Day Live today. And wow, it is a 6-pointer, proverbial 6-pointer against West Bromich Albion down at the Hawthorns. You might be wondering why I'm sitting in a slightly different place. That's because Pete's going to take control of the match today. I'm going to just produce it and be in on the background, putting up your comments and letting Pete run the show. But I will start things off today by announcing the team and talking through it with the lads and lasses. So there we go. There's our opening lineup. Martin Dubravka, Emil Kraft, Jamal Lascelles captaining the team, Kieran Clark, Paul Dummett, Isaac Hayden, John Joe Shelby, Joe Willock, Jeff Hendrick, Ryan Fraser and Joe Linton. On the bench we've got Darlow, Ritchie, Lewis, Manquillo, Sean Longstaff, Carroll, Gale, Fernandez and Murphy. And the tweet that I did put out about that is underwhelming. That's exactly how I feel. Johnston, Furlong, O'Shea, Bartley, Townsend, Yokoselu, Gallagher, Maitland-Niles, Phillips, Diagna and Pereira are the players who line up for West Brom. Pete, your take on that starting lineup for Newcastle, mate?
I said on social media when it came out that I was lost for words, and I am. I was at the time. I just don't get it. We talked about in the week. There's an opportunity to win this game. It's such a big game. So you put your players out that can actually score a goal or can create something or can win us the game. And it looks like they've gone with Joe Linton up front again. And I don't get it because we're looking for goals here. This strikes me completely as a team that is looking to just get a point. I've not got an issue with Dummett coming in because I think from set pieces they're dangerous, so it makes sense because aerially he's better than Lewis, so that makes sense for me. I struggle to see why Manquillo's not in. If he's fit and he's been training for 2 weeks, he needs to have started. Playing. I have no idea where Hendricks is playing. He's either playing as a front three or we've got a midfield four with.
Oh no.
Peace, you're frozen. Yeah, you're there, mate. You're frozen, though, mate. You're frozen.
Yeah, sorry.
Go for it now.
Yeah, I'm just saying I have no idea where Hendricks is playing, whether he's on the front line, whether he's in midfield. We're either playing 4 in midfield and 2 up top, or we're playing...
Not a good start.
You're not playing anything, mate.
Not a good start. He's frozen. Is he getting a phone call? Is he getting a phone call on his phone? Who knows? Nathan, I'll move to you, mate.
Yeah, I think it's a very underwhelming lineup. I think if, as I said to you before the show started, Steve, even if Bruce had no idea on tactics, no idea on personnel, all he had to do was listen to some of the sentiments from the Newcastle fans this week, and we all wanted to see Gale and Carroll up front. I think we've seen Gale up front on his own. He's been underwhelming because he's not had that partner with him. So I think it was a golden opportunity really to play those two because it's going to be a scruffy game today. They're going to be at us from the word go, and we need to match that level of physicality today. So the fact that we've got the two lads in the centre of midfield, Hendrick and Shelby, if that's how it's going to line up, those two look like they're running through treacle every week, don't they? So it's going to be a challenge for those two against Gallagher for West Brom, who's up and down like nobody's business for the entire game. So that's going to be a struggle in the middle of that park. I'm pleased to see Dummett back in the team. I think, not that I don't rate Lewis. I think Lewis has been in for some stick lately, but I don't think we get the best out of him in this team where where he's not protected. He doesn't have that designated person in front of him. He's got St. Maximum in front of him, who's sort of leaving him exposed at times. So I think for me, having Dummett in there, who'll sit back a bit and keep the shape of the back four, I think that's a good move. It's disappointing to see Kraft still playing. I think he's probably one of the worst right backs I've ever seen play for Newcastle, certainly in my time watching the club. For me, we've got Murphy who could do a job there, and we've also got Mankey on the bench who were both arguably better than Kraft in that position. So why not give those two a game? And yeah, with Longstaff's on the bench as well, Sean Longstaff. So whether he's going to get a game, it's anyone's guess really. But for me, it's a big misstep not playing Carroll and Gale today, because I think that would have been quite a good partnership to have up front. But what we'll probably see now is we'll probably see all of them at different times and probably none of them together at the same time, or certainly we won't see maybe Carroll and Gale together for a full half together, which would have been good to see. But yeah, I think we'll see one of them on 65 minutes, won't we? As we can probably put your house on that, I would imagine.
Amazon going on about the communication breakdown. That's all they're talking about at this moment in time. Babbo, it's a strange lineup. I don't think any of us expected to see Richie in the starting lineup. He's probably done well to get on the bench, but no coincidence that everybody who Bruce has fallen out with finds themselves not in the team.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying earlier, Bruce's ego is the problem with his management system. So basically, he has Kraft playing, who was a doubt for today. So Kraft is playing with an injury. Hayden is playing with an injury, right? You have one of the best strikers that you say you've been chasing for the last 6-8 years on the bench. You have your main target man, who can play as a traditional target man, on the bench. You have the most inexperienced players in the team playing a match you have to win. It makes no sense, and everyone can see it. The fact that a 10-year-old can see that lineup and go like, "This is rubbish," if a 10-year-old can say what you're doing is wrong, then what you're doing is really wrong. There is no way around it. I'm really scared because Hendrick and Hayden has the legs, right? Hendrick doesn't have the legs. Shelby doesn't have the legs, and we are playing an attacking 2. West Brom are playing an attacking 5. Whether you want to look at it, they have 3 creative players attacking at all times. So I don't know how Hendrick or Shelby are going to deal with that. So we're either going to see a masterclass in attacking or a masterclass in counter-attack. And we all know that Bruce ain't a master in counter-attack. So we just have to make sure we score 1 goal and just keep throwing volleys forward. I hope we can do that at least. I hope we can.
Definitely taking over the positivity from Daz, who isn't with us today. But Babbo, one of us has got to be positive. Holly, are you as positive as Babbo on today's lineup?
I'm not happy with the lineup whatsoever. I'm still going to predict us to win, just kind of more out of hope that we will, because we really need 3 points. I don't want to see Joe Linton up top. I don't think that's the right choice. I really want to see Dwight Gale in this week, because I think West Brom is an opposition that he would do well against, especially obviously since he was on loan there, and I just think he would have a point to prove, and I thought Dwight Gill would be the best option there today. For Shelby, I would have liked to see Sean Longstaff in. I know that it wouldn't happen because Bruce seems to have a massive issue with the Longstaffs, but I think that Sean could have done a lot better of a job than John Joe Shelby. I mean, we all know Shelby's been very poor as of late. And then for Jeff Hendrick, well, I mean, Jeff Hendrick should never be starting for us. Like, that's just kind of the way it is, to be fair. And I would have put Richie in there, but yet again, we knew that wouldn't happen because of everything that's been going on. I don't mind Paul Dummett at left back. I think Lewis has been quite shaky, and Dummett can do a good job, so I don't mind him there. Clark and Lascelles, I don't really have a problem with. Kraft, I would have liked to see Jacob Murphy in that position. I think he would have helped bring us forward up the pitch. I know he's not defensively solid, but certainly in terms of getting forward, I think that he could do a good job. And then I'm happy with Dubravka because he'd always be starting for me if he's fit.
Lee Marshall, the press secretary, bottle washer, fans liaison officer, just being pictured walking down the touchline talking to Steve Bruce God knows what he said. I didn't have the volume up, but I can imagine there was some classics in there that tends to be Chris. PR's not his strong point, Chris Hall. Completely putting his foot in it, not once, not twice, but 3 times after the match last week. My take on that last week was he realised he dropped criticising Matt Ritchie, knew he was going to have a problem with that, so then he decides to hang a few other players out to dry, i.e. Lewis, Dubravka, etc. And it didn't do him any good. It's been an awful week as a Newcastle fan, but the weekend hasn't been too bad. The results have gone our way down at the bottom. You know, can Newcastle do something today with that lineup?
With this lineup, I'm not sure, Steve. I mean, I always try not to be too negative before the match because, you know, Steve Bruce watches them week in, week out. He's seen them in training. He knows who's fit and maybe who's up for it and who's not. But I must admit, when I saw the lineup, the first thing I thought was our team's on the bench, because that certainly is how it feels. I mean, as a few of the others have already said, you know, I'm pleased Dubravka's still in between the sticks. I'm pleased Paul Dummett's come in. I think it's time to kind of shelter Lewis a little bit. I think he's been struggling the past couple of weeks, so I'm pleased to see Paul Dummett back in the team. I think that's a real positive. I'm also pleased to see Isaac Hayden's back in the team. I'm pleased to see Isaac Hayden has remained in the team, and he's not out injured, so that's a big plus. But Jeff Hendrick, Joe Linton, it's just, and obviously Kraft, it's really disappointing because, you know, you've got Manquillo there. If he's fit enough for the bench, why not start him? Matt Ritchie, you know, I personally thought this week, I was convinced Matt Ritchie would start because I thought Bruce would kind of show, you know, a bit of solidarity, a bit of, you know, we've kissed and made up, everything's fine now. And, you know, everybody knows that Matt Ritchie, if anything, will always give you 110%. And you know how big I am on that. You know, he should be playing. Andy Carroll should be playing. Dwight Gale should be playing. Jacob Murphy should be playing. Sean Longstaff arguably should be playing. I could go on. Federico Fernandez. It's literally the whole team's on the bench. And I think somebody said this earlier, and I tend to agree with you. I mean, there's no excuses. And, you know, he's not set himself up well at all here. It's as if if we lose today, you know, everyone's going to call for his head. Everybody. And you can't even say, oh, he's put the best lineup out he could. The players just didn't perform, because he hasn't. So, as I say, I don't want to be too negative because, you know, we could go out and win 2-0 here, and then no one's going to criticise his selection, you know, for the lineup. So, as I always say, let's see what happens. But I'm very pessimistic based on what I've seen, and you know, you're quite right, Steve. The results have gone our way, especially over the last 4 days, and this is such an opportunity. Like I was saying to my wife earlier, and you know, she always gets bored when I start talking in depth about Newcastle. But I said to her earlier, I was like, this game today is so big. It's so big, and you know, we need. Some people may not agree with this, but for me, we need at least a point. A point's not enough. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it is. But it's not game over if we get a point. But make no mistake about it, if we lose this game today, there's no going back. There's no excuses. There's no let's see what happens next game. It's nothing. So I'm hoping we get at least a point today. But obviously I want the win. That's what I'm after. But I can't even consider losing this game. Can't even fathom it in my head. I just can't go there.
Okay, we've already spoken to Nathan. Just a quick reshuffle has put him down on the bottom lower row there now. So we've got Chris, who is back in the house after doing his weekly shop or whatever he was doing, a la Annika Rice, which he likes to do. Thanks for revisiting that, Chris. Jeff Hendrick is probably, as people in the chat keep saying, is the only player who's actually scored goals who's available today. So maybe that is reason that he's been put back in the team.
Yeah, it's a mystery what's going on in Steve Bruce's head. I wouldn't want to spend much time there. So I don't know. I've been a supporter of Fraser, but I just don't think he feels like he made the right move coming to Newcastle. Back him for a cheeky goal here, and because Willock scored in his debut and hasn't really shown up anything since. So it's hard to say that he's a goal threat. I don't know what this line is going to be. I mean, 4-3-3 or something. It's just crazy how sort of out of touch or clueless Steve Bruce and his coaching staff seems to be, because if all of us can set the lineup and then we see the lineup based with the teams on the bench, it blows the mind, or the mind boggles. So Hendrick, yeah, I really don't want to see Hendrick playing alongside Shelby and Hayden. That seems very, very defensive when this is our essentially our game of the season. It's talk about 6-pointers. This is like 9 or 12-pointer or something. We've got to get 3 points here. I know that Chris said, but a point is all right. But we've got to get 3 points here, and I just feel that this is do or die. We've all written Steve Bruce off, and I feel like even if they lose this match, he's not going to get the sack. He's going to be the manager next season if there's no takeover. So backing them for 3 points, but it's really going out on a limb there to say that this lineup's going to get more than a goal.
Just watching Sam Allardyce walk down the touchline. He is a bit of a nemesis for Newcastle, and those of you who tuned into the Three Amigos on Friday will have heard some rather worrying stats from Andre, who is our resident Toon Stato. So let's listen to what Andre had to say before we come to Funby.
Hi Steve, hello to all Toon fans who are watching. A couple of curious stats around Sam Allardyce and his record against the Toon. In the Premier League, Newcastle has played Allardyce so far 24 games, and Newcastle has won 7, drawn 4 and lost 13, so it's a negative balance. But more interestingly, ever since Allardyce left Newcastle in 2008, our record against him is pretty atrocious, I would say. 2 wins, 3 draws and 7 defeats. And funnily enough, in both our relegation seasons, we lost away to some of our Allardyce teams with 3-0. 2008, 2009 against Blackburn, and 2015-2016 against the Mackhams, which makes the game on Sunday quite interesting.
Great stuff from Andre Funby. It doesn't bode well. I think the only surprise that I've had today, other than Newcastle's team, is that they found a mask big enough to go over Sam's head. He was putting that as he's going along the touchline. But yeah, Funby, it's not looking good with those kind of stats against us with this particular manager. And I know we're not playing Sam, but we are playing his team.
Yeah, the stats don't read well if you're a Newcastle fan. But I think what we have to understand is this is a championship game. And I mean that by the 2 managers managing both clubs are championship level. And that's why Bruce has gone with this lineup. He's thinking this is going to be a traditional slug where if you get the point, it was war. And we shouldn't be surprised because Bruce is not about football. It's just about results for him. It doesn't matter how they come. I understand why everyone's negative because being a Newcastle fan, it comes with it. But I've just come to the point where I just look at the lineup and I try and figure it out. I remember saying to Pete ending the season, this was Bruce's idea. When we win a game, you keep the formation. We lose that game, he changes the team. That's a man with no idea. So the fact that we had no idea who's going to start today or what's going to happen, it's just been the story of the season, So I'm with Chris on this. We need to win or a point. I don't want us to lose. I'm going to try and be positive. But my stance is going to stay the same. I just want Newcastle to stay up. As far as Bruce and his lineups and his speeches, I'm fully over that.
Good stuff. Good to have you on board. Martin, your take on that opening lineup for Newcastle. Are you as underwhelmed as me?
Yeah, I'm glad to see Dummett back in, to be fair. But I think the rest of it, Hendrick, I'm slightly shocked that he's back in. I think, for me, I would have preferred to see a 4-4-2. I would have loved to have seen Carroll and Gale. It's obviously Gale's not going to get a start. for whatever reason. I agree with Chris. I think, part of our best team's been left on the bench. I think that the frightening thing for me, Hayden, as somebody said, Hayden's carrying, a slight injury. Nathan said it with the midfield about the legs. I think with the way West Brom are set up, I think we lose the game in midfield. I think, the game at home, I pointed out Conor Gallagher as being the man of the match. He ran rings around us, and I expect the kid to do exactly the same in this game. I think relying on Joe Linton up front to be the person that scores our goals to get us out of a relegation battle shows that Bruce's ego is running the team rather than him thinking logically about trying to get us out of the shithole that we're in. So I think until that changes, he doesn't play the right team. Lascelles, again, he scored the goal last week, but I've been saying all season he's not the leader for me. I would have preferred to see Fernandes and Manquillo back in if Fernandes was fit. But look, it is what it is. I take Fumby's point. Let's see what they can do. But I think to not to have gone for it in a game, I listened to Bruce there, and he's talking, going, the famous word comes out yet again. He hopes it galvanizes us as a team, and the issues with Richie, and it's done and dusted and everything. Obviously, it's not, because he's on the bench, and you leave two lads that can score goals sitting there and put in a 40 million flop. So while his ego is ruling in what the team choice is, I think we struggle. But I think, again, it's hard to be optimistic. I take Chris's point. I think, we need at least a point, but even that's not good enough.
No.
Luke Edwards is on there tweeting this, already making excuses for Bruce for post match. Ashley, there's no appetite to sack him still, and even if he loses, that it's unpalatable, but it's probably not going to change anything. So with all of that going on, it's hard to be optimistic. It's a game we need to win. Look, it's simple as that. We need 3 points. We need to put 6 points against us and Fulham. Results went our way yesterday. If you're a manager looking at that and not want to take advantage of that, then with all due respect, you're an idiot.
Okay, our lead. Last but by no means least to you. Any positives from that opening lineup today?
I still can't see it. This game is important. It's maybe it's not will define who will be relegated, but it's show that the winner show that I deserve more to stay in the Premier League. It's obvious it's going to be tactical, boring. I expect everyone will try to not concede a goal, but I can see West Bromwich have more chance to score first, and this is the most dangerous thing, because the one who will score first, he will control the game. Regarding the formation, I try to. I was shocked at the beginning when I was checking the lineup. I'm trying to find the reason why every player playing. Maybe he put. I see Steve Bruce back to the 3 defense midfielder. Maybe he want to give Fraser and Willick more attacking roles, and just leave them from give him the chance to stay in front and not heavy them by defense roles. There is a player, the DNA. I'm worried actually about him from Mr. Bromwich, and I hope they mark him very well. And I'm sure there is better lineup, but I don't know. Maybe as you guys said, it's a championship thinking. Maybe that's why we did beat it very well.
Okay, good stuff. Before I get the predictions, just a big shout out to Spider VPN, the main sponsors. Get the shout out first. A big shout out to them. They've sponsored the StreamYard application over the last month, and they're into March now, which is a big thank you to them, of course. Big shout out to our other main sponsor, Geordie Riffs, premium guitar lessons for beginners and children, guitar repairs and servicing, recording studio. Get them on geordieriffs.co.uk and on their socials, Instagram, Geordie Riffs, and Facebook, Geordie Riffs Official. Also, a big shout out to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, and Jab Signature, who produce all of our flyers. If you're a first-time visitor to the channel, please subscribe. Click the little subscription button down in the bottom right-hand corner. Hit the like button, that's the little thumb. And please share the video as well to try and build our community. Quick predictions then, Pete, before I leave everybody in your capable hands. Prediction?
I think we'll win. I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll either be 1-0 or 2-1. So I'll go with 2-1. I think we have to win. It's as simple as that. We need to create a gap between us and Fulham in these next few games, and it has to start today.
Okay, I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Newcastle today. I think we might just scrape it. Let's see. Babbo?
I'm going 2-1 Newcastle.
Okay, Holly?
Biggest game of the season, must win for me, and I'll say 2-0 to Newcastle.
Chris?
Yeah, I agree with Holly. Biggest game of the season. I'm going to reluctantly say 1-1.
1-1. Nathan?
I think 1-0. I think I'd take 1-0. We'd be lucky to get that. I can't see many goals from our side today, and I just hope we can keep a clean sheet.
Chris?
2-1 in the dying minutes of the match.
Chris, you've got a bit of a Steve Strange, like, visage kind of look going on today.
I have no idea who that is.
It's just the way you've tilted your hair and you've got your hair like... Just an observation, mate. As you know, I like to make observations. Unless you're going with that Patrick Trout and Doctor Who thing. Fumby, prediction?
I honestly, I want us to win, but I think 1-1.
1-1. Martin?
Yeah, I agree with Fumby. We need to win it, but I agree with him and Chris. I think it's a draw.
Albalid? Albalid, are you doing a spenny?
Sorry. No, 0-0, no goals for today.
0-0, no goals. Okay. I will have to tell everyone, make sure you've got your thing on mute. Don't have your volume up, guys, because we will get shut down if the volume's playing up. So if you're watching it on your TV, make sure the volume is down. As I said, I'm handing you over to Pete. Kieran, I think, is still hanging around, so I'm going to bring Kieran in and I'll dip out. I'll see you at the end of the game to give you my views on, hopefully, a Newcastle United win. So have fun, guys, and let's hope Newcastle win. Good luck, Pete.
Right, guys. Hopefully my internet holds out. I don't know what's going on here, but fingers crossed. I might be putting a Chris H here today when I keep dipping in.
Mate, I hope not.
But I think it's only fair that before we start, I bring in a new trusted friend of mine. Thank you to Mark Byers. So I'll just show you the new hat. Away the matters.
Love it.
He reached out to me. Fair play to him when I missed out on the other one. So he asked me if he wanted me to make him one, and I said yes. So fair play to him. Thought I'd just bring it out for today.
I should have copyrighted that slogan. I swear to God.
Mate, boss, I love it.
I said it so many times. Everyone, it's not really catching on, and now he's got it on a hat. I've lost something here.
It's okay. You learned.
We're all part of the same community, Martin. It's for all of us. We're all together in this.
That doesn't mean I wouldn't have copyrighted and charged you.
I know for a fact.
I'm closer to a retirement fund than you are, mate.
Guys, I've got to be honest, and it's not about presenting the show. I am absolutely shitting myself with regards to this game. This game is absolutely huge. So the players, they're there. Rest of them are about to kick off. I know it's obviously on Amazon Prime, so we are with a little bit of a delay. So if any of you guys are well ahead, please give me a shout and let us know if there's a goal or if there's something major in the game, because I don't know where I am compared to you. But look.
I've got it on Premiere here in Ireland, mate, so I'd say I have a fairly decent stream. So
okay, so we'll go.
I'm live, yeah.
Martin's the man that'll be able to keep us up to date with everything that's going on. It's just kicked off where I am. Look, Steve's touched on a few of the bits that I was going to touch on before the game with regards to Richie and Bruce and various other things. But for me, I wanted to start with, and I know a few of us in our chat have had an opinion on this, but really, really interesting that Bruce came out in his presser on Friday and was very, very particular with the fact that there was a mole in the camp. So I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to ask you guys, who do you think the mole is? Is there more than one? And do you think that player is going to be on the massive receiving end of any sort of punishments, or even play again for the club?
The mole is Tekashi 6ix9ine. That's who's commissioning all the information.
No.
That's the word. That's the word on social media right now. Tekashi snitching, bro.
I definitely think there's more than one, because if a commander cannot inspire loyalty from his soldiers, that's what will happen. It happens in business, it happens in football, it happens everywhere. Bruce has exhibited signs that he does not deserve respect, right? So if you're a man who cannot take responsibility for any of your actions and it's always someone's fault, there's no one that will respect you. You could be 80 and people will just look at you like a 6-year-old. And he has done that to the fans, to his fellow professionals, to his players, and that is what you get. He needs to be responsible for something. So far, he's not responsible for tactics. He's not responsible for set pieces. He's not responsible for the interviews he gives or what he says. And how would this not happen? How would this not happen?
You made a really good point here, and it could throw out a number of people, to be honest with you. In that you talked about he's not responsible for anything. If you look at some of the players, and I'm not saying any of these players are the mole, but if you look at the likes of Wilson, Fraser, Lewis that have come in, over the course of the summer, and have come in after having decent managers, teaching, coaching them, and then going from that to Steve Bruce, where he is literally hasn't got a clue about anything. You must be questioning, why you've moved, and two, where are we going as a club? Where are we going? And then they're looking at the position we're in right now and thinking, well, I didn't expect less. So, Holly, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think? Is there one particular mole, or is it a number of them? Is it a group?
For me, it's either got to be Steve Bruce himself or one of his coaching staff. I think that, the fact that Steve Bruce is saying that he doesn't know who it is either some type of cover up, or I just struggle to believe that he wouldn't know who it was if it was one of his coaching staff, because he's been in multiple clubs with them. He'll be really close to them. So surely if one of them was leaking information, he'd know about it. But the reason that I think that is because obviously the leak was about Carl Darlow getting dropped out of the squad before he knew about it. And surely the rest of the squad would find out at the same time as Carl Darlow, because that would be bizarre if they didn't. And also, if one of them happened to find out before, they wouldn't want to rat out their teammate and tell all of the media that he's not coming in, because that's just really hurtful. So it either has to be Bruce or one of the groups. And I'll believe for 1 minute that he won't know who it is. I think that's just a lie.
You know what, Holly? Absolutely great point. We have to remember he's the manager here, and although he's come out in the presser and said, he didn't let Darlow know until Thursday, Friday before the game, it was already documented before that by a particular journalist that he was going to be dropped. So you think, as a management team, that he would know, and his coaches would know before the actual players know, and effectively he's saying that the players knew before his coaching staff did, or before he did, which doesn't make any sense. So he's kind of throwing himself under the bus there. So I do agree with you on a certain, from a certain aspect. I do believe that he's one that is definitely leaking. But Chris, do you think there's any particular players out there that are trying to sabotage Bruce, that want him out? I imagine there are, and maybe more than one. But is there anyone that kind of sticks out for you?
It's a bit like like you see in EastEnders or Emmerdale, you know, where there's like a whodunit kind of thing. You could literally pick about 6 players who realistically could be the person. I mean, I personally, Pete, I think it's a collective. I think it's being fed down. It may even be being fed down from the coaching staff. It could be. Maybe some coach and staff members having a word in the player's ear, and then the player is being the mole, you know, as in, you know, trying to get that information. But I think that there's camps within the team. I think there's a division. I think it's probably 3, 4, 5 players.
Go on.
Oh,
Go on, Fraser, lad.
Go on. Oh my God!
Please scream. I'm well
What
behind
was
it, by the
that?
way. Was it awful?
Brutal. Ball with ball breaks. Thinks over the top to Fraser. Fraser, Willock, and Joe Linton are 3 onto 2 with the West Brom back line. Fraser plays the ball in behind Willock and Joe Linton, who have broke forward, and it somehow falls back to us, and then we play an absolutely crap ball into nothing. Joe Linton takes a shot that's got, you know, I've seen my 6-year-old with more power. So it's a corner for Newcastle. Fraser taken from the left-hand side coming in.
What's that, man?
Clark gets a header, but actually manages to head it down into the ground and away from goal. Still bouncing around towards the West Brom box. Back out on the left to Fraser. Plays it onwards to Hayden.
So bad.
Ball in.
So much lack of quality, that is.
Yeah. West Brom clear it.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm playing catch up. I'm playing catch up with you guys here. So I've just literally seen what you've just described, Martin. You know, with Fraser. I mean, that cut across that ball, and he's played it behind Joe Linton. Oh, sorry, was it behind
Kraft
Willock?
Kraft has just taken a shot from outside the box. Takes a ping off a West Brom foot, off a head, and keeper makes a handy save on the right hand side with West Brom.
It looked really unlucky, to be fair, because when Fraser's running in, he plays actually a decent ball that would actually gone into the path of Willock, but the defender gets a touch, and the touch knocks it behind Willock, who was running onto it. And I think if obviously the defender Willock would have got in, but you know what? It was a really nice passage of play there. The ball over the top from Hayden, and it looked like we were putting some genuine pressure on them, and actually. And I don't know whether you guys agree. What West Brom looked all over the place defensively. They did not know what they were doing at all. It was just they were just hoping that they could just clear the ball quickly. So I'll go on to our lead. You know, we've talked about moles in the camp. We've talked about, you know, is there an individual? Chris H just said that there could be a collective there. There's a few on social media that are pointing the finger potentially at Graham Jones. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Is there a player? Is there a player mole, or do you think it could be Graham Jones that's trying to wingle his way into the management position? What do you think?
Actually, I just learned the word mole from this incident. I thought the mole it's the one in the skin, but now I notice it's someone. It's like.
Maybe he's trying to get under the skin of Steve Bruce. Who knows?
It must be someone arguing with Steve Bruce. Maybe more than one, as you said. And it could be some players really ready and fine. And he's good to play, but he's benched for unreasonable reason. As we said, as we see with Sava brothers, Dwight Gale, Andy Carroll, if I am one of them, I may do something like that if I am that angry.
No, fair point. Kieran, what are your thoughts? I know you're very vocal and straight to the point with regards to how you think things are going on at the club. Do you think it's a player? Do you think it's a coaching staff? Do you think it, as Chris H has mentioned, more than one?
Yeah, I personally think it's two of the Longstaff brothers and Richie. That's who I think it is. Because if you look at obviously the incident that happened with Richie in the week, it kind of you can't really blame him, to be fair, can you? If he has come out and like sort of spread it about, if you like. But yeah, I do think it's more the Longstaff brothers because the way they've been treated, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't mean they're not getting a look in, are they? So
yeah, it's a great point. Where are the Longstaff brothers? I mean,
yeah,
where's
where's Anderson as well? Why is Anderson not on the? He's not even on the bench.
Yeah, and obviously, no, go on.
He's ruining these youngsters. We've got some good players here. Unfortunately, he's just ruining them.
Yeah,
I think.
Nate, Kieran's made a really good point. He's obviously pointed it in the sort of direction that it could be potentially the Longstaffs. And to be fair, they'd have a valid point to want Bruce out.
Get out! Oh my God! What is that header?
Half the players on the bench have valid points for Bruce being out.
Yeah, but I would say even more so the Longstaffs with how they have been treated.
Oh, go on! Oh, he's done it again.
Go.
He squared it and he missed it again.
Sorry about that, Dave. A great run, great ball in down the side by Willett, ran in by Joe Linton, tried to cross it to Fraser.
Oh my God!
Locked out for a corner.
All you have to do is chip it.
Again, really good counter-attacking football there. I think, Martin, you're slightly ahead, aren't you?
Yeah, I think me and Kieran are probably not too far off the same stream. Great ball, as Kieran said, great ball on the right from Willock into Joe Linton. Joe Linton, out for the first time, I think, actually out-muscled another defender and got past him to break forward. But as he gets into the box, instead of kind of just chipping it over the defender, Fraser, who was absolutely free in the box, West Brom are breaking here with 4 against 2.
Done well. Yeah.
It just hits the defender's leg as he's sliding in and takes it out for a corner. And then West Brom, we've done nothing really with the corner. West Brom are broken 4 against 3. Gallagher coming on the right hand side and Dummett slides in with a tackle to take the ball away to save it. So yeah, but it's good position. Joe Linton just should have ducked it in, but never mind.
Come on.
Can I just say, boys, I've noticed, I mean, obviously I'm well behind Martin and Kieran, but I've noticed now the 2 chances we've had have been when we're breaking.
What was that?
We're in our box and then we're breaking and we're going forward. So
I told you.
The key today is going to be counter-attack, isn't it?
Yeah, either a masterclass in counter-attacking or a shambolic defensive performance.
You know what? First and foremost, it looks like we've got that attacking intent. Joe Linton's driving forward with the ball. He's not just looking to play it side to side. He's actually running to their defence. That recovery tackle from Dummett was fantastic. I have to say, it was a fantastic piece of defending.
Come on, pass it.
Will.
Fuck's sake.
Willett was just on the ball there. It's just broken down and gone back to West Brom again. But I'll move on and come back to you, Nate. Apologies for that. It all went a little bit mad. But as Kieran said, you've got the Longstaffs there that would be more than reasonable to kind of want to throw Bruce under the bus for how they've been treated this season. Do you think they're probably some of the moles, or do you think it's someone else in particular?
I think when you look at this kind of thing happening like in any other team and you see stuff getting leaked out, usually it's like 1 or 2 people that are kind of at odds with the manager. But as the lads have said there, I was just having a bit of a jot down of who, like it could be, as Kieran said, it could be the Longstaff brothers who've just totally regressed under Bruce and found themselves from being on the verge of the first team to just not even making the bench most games. It could be Darlow for the way that he was sort of unceremoniously dropped. It could be Dubravka for him not thinking he should have been back in the team quicker than he came back in the team. It could be Richie himself after the incident who thought, do you know what, I'm pissed off about this. I'm gonna leak this. I'm gonna tell them what's going on. And it could be any number of players, couldn't it? Like you look at the likes of Fraser as well. Fraser doesn't look like he's having a good time playing for Bruce. He's had a limited game time, and when he started the other week, he got himself sent off cheaply, didn't he? It looked like he didn't want to play for the club, to be honest. And we know he's got that sort of streak in him. So I think this core of new players that we've got will be looking at this and wondering why they came here. To be honest, a lot of them, like Wilson and Fraser, they'll be thinking, why am I playing for this manager with the way that he sets things up? So it could be any number of those players, but I don't suspect it's 1 or 2. I think it's a core group that are at odds with Bruce. I think if you look at the numbers, if you balance it up, on balance,
Well
is more
played. Come on.
players are going to be against Bruce than are with him. I think there's only John Joe Shelby really who's come out and spoken highly of Bruce. I think in the time that he's been here. So yeah, I think there's a core group, and whether one of those players himself has decided to leak it, but I think if it came to an us against them situation, I think the players would be more in number than they would be more in number against Bruce than they would be with him.
No, I agree with everything you've said there, Nath. Chris A. Nath mentioned about there being various camps, and I think someone else mentioned it as well, being sort of broken into the squad's now broken into 2 or 3 different camps. Do you think it's one particular camp that have really gone out there and called to get these stories out, to get Bruce out the club, or do you think it's one individual, or do you think it's even a coaching staff?
It could be all of the above. I don't want to name particular names of suspects because I think it is likely these camps and sort of groups of players, and we've definitely seen there's players that Bruce favors, like Shelby and Hendrick, and there's players that just seem to be want to get out, like Gale, probably Fraser, and then others who sort of wonder kind of what situation they've got into and kind of biding their time for a new manager. It is interesting to see. We do see that Wilson is training, not training again, but doing exercises and running. So hopefully he can come back sooner than was projected, because to have the other lads out until April is a big blow to the firepower that we've got and the attacking options that we've got left. So we need to get Wilson back, but I don't want to rush him back, because you rush an injury back and it just aggravates the initial injury. And these kind of injuries are chronic and nagging, and you want to treat him well and see that he's well and good and ready to come back before saying, oh, well, we need him, let's throw him back in. So hopefully the backroom staff comes good on that. And I do agree that that the dissension in the camp includes the backroom coaching staff, and everyone's going to be speaking out against Bruce, apparently, except for Shelby. So this match is pretty hard, because I'm probably about like a minute behind everyone else.
Just carry the ball, man.
It's 17 minutes in. So for me, on my stream, is just on the ball, just played it into Joe Linton, that holds it up really well. Kraft is now running down the wing, played in Willock, but it's just ran out for a goal kick. But plenty of possession for Newcastle. Not really been troubled so far with regards to West Brom, and looking to try and be a threat the other way. So, just gone 18 minutes into the game from that point of view. But I'll come to Funby. Funby, it's clear there's some type of mold in the camp, whether it's individual or collectively. Have you got a different opinion on it? Do you think it's Bruce, or do you think it's even the coaching staff? There was even talk in the week that because of the standoff or potential standoff between Bruce and Ashley, in that Ashley doesn't want to pay Bruce off, that he might be putting out these stories.
Oh my God, that's never a foul.
He might be putting out these stories via Lee Charnley to be able to get Bruce the negative press, which will force him to leave. Do you think
that's not a foul?
Or do you think it's just the players that just really want him out?
I don't think Mike Ashley is that smart to pull that off. Number one. Number two, man, this is like not our best team. I know this is not your question, but we're actually way better than West Brom. And this is not even our best team. You can just tell if we had one striker with sense, we'd be 3-0 up by now. Yeah. I know I'm happy. I don't mind, because I'd rather bring Gale and Andy Carroll on than bring on Joe Linton. So I'm happy to see this play out. In terms of the mole, when I saw the stories, I just realized when your club's going through it, there could be a fly that died at Newcastle and it'll be made into a story. a fly was killed on the pitch today during training in Newcastle? Has Bruce lost the dressing room? Like, it's just one thing after the other. I think we just needed the story to get some excitement. I just said to myself, you know what? I'm done. Because if I take all this in, I'm going to just start crying. It's too much.
You see what Pombi is doing? It's basically he's managing the information that goes in his mind. Now he's just like, I don't want any of that drama. Just give me the football and maybe.
I'm watching a press conference. I'm watching a press conference, and my manager's talking about snitches in the camp. You just fooled the player. You should just be like, you know what? Don't worry about that. We're trying to focus on football here. We're going to move on. He's acting like, well, there's somebody, and I'm going to find it. I said, what are you? You know, mafia, boss.
Yeah, it's like an it's like an episode of Scooby Doo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the Sopranos. You got someone in the camp. You know. Like, what are you doing? This is football,
like that
bro.
miscast.
Yeah, it's like, stop. He loves himself. Like, I'm gonna find this out. You know, it's like, I'm done. So we got. And this happens to Newcastle.
I can imagine telling someone you're gonna be shooting with the fishes soon. Okay.
Right. You're gonna be training in the reserves when I'm done with you. It's like, bro, man. It's like, let it go, man. Like, let's focus on the league. We're actually playing well today. Shout out to Graham Jones for lining up the team well. This ain't Bruce.
You know what? It would be typical Newcastle if Bruce pulled up into his presser next week with in the mystery machine. You know, Scooby-Doo-esque, demanding to find out who the mole is. You just would not put it past him. But you're absolutely right. I mean, Martin, he's the front line, or sorry, the back line of the Daily Mail, if I'm right, labelled it treason.
Yes, treason against the Empire of Newcastle.
I've been watching The Crown.
Martin, would you go that far? Would you say it's treason against Bruce, or would you say actually it's well deserved because of the amount of crap that he's put the squad of players through this season?
Well, I think one of the papers over here in Ireland this morning, the back page was apparently Mike Ashley has made the Queen an offer to buy the Tower of London so that he can put all the traders into the tower for treason. So no, that wouldn't surprise me. I think Bumby's bit about and Kieran about the Scooby-Doo. You can just imagine Bruce at the end of the season, you know, pulling the mask off and it's Mike Ashley underneath it. Would be really good. Do you know what? I think the whole, you know, I listened to the TalkSport piece this week, and you know, I thought Craig Hope did really well, but the Bruce piece afterwards, you know, talking about the trees and you know how much Craig Hope loves his time on the radio, and he's had his 5 minutes of fame. Like, just give it up, man. What are you, 5 years old? Just you know, he should have just cut it and went, do you know what? I'm not talking about it. I'm focused on the West Brom game. And he didn't do that. As for the mole, I actually think it's Alex Bruce. But
That's a good shout. That's a good shout, actually.
Because I mean, he obviously knows what's going on. He went on a rampant block of all NUFC fans on Twitter. So I think it's if I was taking two guesses, I would say it's Alex Bruce and possibly the tea lady who's still on furlough.
So, do you know what though, mate? Alex Bruce isn't doing his dad any favours though, is he?
It's not doing his dad any favours. No, I think it's just comical. I think Fumby's point is right. Like, you know, it's a different story. Like, you know, we got over that couple of bits, and then Bruce still keeps it going where he could have killed it. And then you've got the new bit then about I think it's the under-19s coach or something now that's been stood down because his missus had a fallen out because the youngster's not playing. And it's just like, you know, you wouldn't get that at any other club around the country apart from us. And we do seem to make massive headlines. And reporters do love to get it out there. You know, at the end of the day, was Craig Hope wrong for reporting it? Absolutely not. He's a reporter. That's his job. And, you know, if it was Liam, if it was Craig Hope, if it was Luke Edwards, you're going to take that story and you're going to report it.
Do you know what, Mark? The club confirmed it. He went to the club and went, is this true? The club said, yeah, it's true. And then he reported it. And the club were like, I can't believe you reported that.
Yeah, we just confirmed it just to make sure you know it's true. And we didn't expect you to do anything with that information.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by the level of, it's basically we're running a club that has a bunch of incompetent people at all levels. Yeah. And then they go, but why is it not working? That's why I'm like, how is Mike Ashley a millionaire? It makes no sense. I mean, Lee Charnley has had this job for 12 years, and there is nothing you can point to that he's done correctly. So
I think the thing with Ashley, Babo, I think the thing is you've got, Steve Wraith has mentioned this before about Charnley used to make the tea in the club. The problem is you've got, a dinosaur manager. You've got obviously insurrection within the ranks. You've got people above him in the club that aren't football people. You've got Steve Bruce going on doing a presser, calling out journalists and going, this happens up and, players and managers having a set to happens up and down the country every week. Does it really? Because I never hear about nothing. I don't see that happening at Man United or Man City or West Brom or anywhere else. I see our story on the back page every second week.
But that's what Bruce does. That's what Bruce does. He brings everyone else in. There's 7 or 8 teams in the relegation script. No, fam, there's 4. You're in it.
He's so deluded. Isn't
No,
he?
You can look at the top 4 and anyone can get sucked in. No, we see the table.
No, to be fair, right? I think Bruce just needs something else to be going on, so we don't have time to be like, bruh,
it's a
your best
deflection.
players are on the bench. Yeah,
Brings this on himself, though,
it's
isn't
like,
he?
you lost. What match? You lost this match. Oh, but I'm the manager and I'm gonna do it my way. No, what have you been doing for the last 18 months? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Now, can we win this match?
He brings all this on himself, though. Like,
It might not be a must win. Maybe we'll try our best. I'm like, no, nobody wants you to be trying your best now. You should have done that at the start of the season.
Go on, Nate. What were you going to say?
At the end of the last game, though, he has the opportunity to completely avoid all this situation. He made all this shit happen this week with that post-match interview last week. He's in the power. He's in the position of power where he can choose to escalate things and bring them out into the public and bring a lot of limelight to stuff. And he chose to do that last week. So the reason he's had a shit week is squarely down to him.
Yeah, I agree, and it goes back to the point that Craig Hope made on Talksport when he went onto the show, and he basically said, "Look, this wouldn't have come out if you had your house in order." Now, the points that were made by Martin, your West Bromwich, your Manchester United, your Chelsea's, all this stuff. Yes, it may well happen on their training ground, but the difference is they've all got their houses in order. Even your Barnsleys, your Blackburns, your Wickhams, all of them have got their houses in order. A lot lesser clubs than us, and that is why it's become such a big story, because he hasn't got his house in order, and therefore it's been able to filter itself out into the public domain.
I think. Sorry, Pete. I think there's a big piece to this with other managers. Other managers, if there's something happening in camp, if that was, if that was Ferguson, if that was Pep Guardiola, if that was Klopp, they protect their players.
Yeah.
They would never, ever come on screen at any presser, at any post-match or anything other and go, well, it was Richie's fault. Or, Lascelles didn't play well. Or, Joe Linton's a donkey. Whatever. They would never, ever do that. Okay, we'll do it as fans. We'll go to shitfest. Or he didn't do this or he didn't that. That's our right. But as the manager, surely you have to go on there, regardless of egos, regardless of player temperaments, regardless of prima donnas and everything else that I'm sure goes on in Premier League clubs. But you never, ever call your team out. You never do it.
Should we then say that the quality of managers in the Premier League is going down? Or it's just in Newcastle?
Well, we got the worst manager in the league.
The worst manager, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I think everyone's in agreement. I think we have got the worst manager in the Premier League.
On all fronts. Everything.
He's got a squad.
Dress code, hairstyle, the worst.
Yeah.
He's
No love.
His little badge.
Good enough to be
Everything. The way he walks, I don't like it.
Okay, no, let's not take it personal, because I've seen Pep Guardiola ringing.
I changed my mind. I think Fumby's them all.
Well, guys,
I don't like the way he walks. He must be doing something wrong.
I don't like the way he pretends to be upset or yelling instructions. You don't know what you're talking about. You gotta get Matt Ritchie to tell the instructions.
I felt personally insulted after we lost to that in the Man United game when he did not even say, "Let me just go into the tunnel and laugh with Solskjaer."
Yeah,
I was like, there is no way any manager that cares about his job.
Oh, he can't cross the ball, Fraser.
Okay, Newcastle. A great opportunity from a corner, short corner by Fraser. played it back into Shelby's path. Shelby, he's at a tight angle, but he's whipped the ball in, and the keeper's been unsighted, but managed to get a hand to it and pushed it out. But then there was no one really there to mop it up. A lot of players standing around, but it fell to a West Brom player. I think it's Mbaye Diagne, and they've managed to clear it. A couple of minutes before that, Mbaye Diagne had an opportunity on a flick on from a West Brom corner that was put wide. But yeah, it was a decent chance, and Sam Johnson was unsighted there. If it was any further to his right hand side, we could be looking at.
That actually took a deflection, Pete, on the rerun there. Took a deflection off West Brom defender's leg.
Okay. So, another chance there created for Newcastle. But, we've talked about the mole in the club. Could be anyone. And I think everyone's got their right to want to out Bruce, to be honest. But let's move on. Right, we're 30 minutes into this first half. How do we feel, based on how our thoughts were before the game with the lineup, and how we thought we were going to be getting on in this game? Babu, what are your thoughts with regards to how we've started this game in the first 31 minutes?
Oh, God's sake!
I think we've done well, considering the players we lined up with. There seems to be more determination to get to the ball first. There seems to be a level of fight in the players going on now. I am scared that we've missed so many opportunities that it's going to come and bite us in the ass. Yeah. That's what always happens.
It's got Sheffield United written all over it, isn't it?
Yeah, you keep hammering wave after wave after wave.
We were terrible against Sheffield
United. Well,
yeah.
I just mean the team selection and all that.
Oh, right. Yeah. You should have gone for it first.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You keep giving waves after wave of attack, and you don't do anything with it. And the more clinical team is the one that's going to win. Under Rafa, that's what we did. We're like, we're going to have 2-3 chances, but those 2-3 chances, we take it, and then we shut it down.
When have we ever been clinical?
Clinical?
Awful cross that was.
We're more critical than clinical.
With Rondon and Perez, when we had them up front, we were like, c'est magnifique, huh?
Does Perez still play? I haven't seen Perez since the 60s. Is he still?
He didn't play yesterday, did he? He was injured.
What happened to our host?
He's disappeared.
Yo, Pete. No, but definitely, I think we've been doing well. I
can tell, guys, if we had Maximin and Miggy, we'd be freed up by this point.
Yeah,
West Brom are terrible.
Yeah,
probably.
Absolutely, Fumby. Absolutely.
But yeah, I cede my time to Holly. Please take it away.
I think that West Brom has been a lot more poor than I thought they were going to be. I think if that's what we're battling for against relegation, realistically, we should have no worries about staying up if this is the level in the bottom three. But it's looking like it's heading towards a draw. I'm confident we aren't taking
a 0-0 draw.
Pass the ball, man.
Scoring here, scoreless draw.
Yeah. I'm concerned that we aren't taking more chances. I think if we had a stronger team out, or we had the likes of Callum Wilson or someone that could put the ball in the back of the net, we would have been ahead now by 1, 2, possibly 3 goals, because we've had some excellent chances. But unfortunately, there's no one on the pitch that can put chances away for us. I just hope that we manage to nick a late-minute winner and seal the game, because I can't see West Brom scoring, to be honest. I don't think that they will, but I don't want to, curse us and then they end up getting a last-minute winner, because that would be just awful. But certainly we should be staying up if this is what we're competing against. No question about it. They're really, really poor.
Yeah, Holly's absolutely right, man. I thought they were going to bring something. They're just terrible. I'm happy because we got subs that can change the game for us. So I'm just confident. I'm just happy that we've not conceded. They don't look like they can score, if I'm honest with you, but we just have to stay focused. Dummett, by the way, Dummett has been class. Yeah, what a defender, what a left back. Lewis needs to learn under him.
Lewis is not good enough. I think Dummett should be in from now on. He should be in from now on.
Yeah, he has to, man.
I think where we are at this stage of the season, down the bottom, Dummett all day for me. But I think with Lewis will come good for us. I'm pretty sure
he will, man.
Yeah,
he will.
Yeah, he will.
He needs that team around him in that right style of play. Otherwise, he gets found out, doesn't he, too easily.
It's so sad to know Joe Linton in the side, means we're not going to score. It's just so sad.
Yeah.
No. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Let's not regress. Senior Chris, what do you have for us?
Do you know what, Fumby? Sorry, Fumby, Babbo. It's because Fumby was talking before.
Yes,
no,
of
do you know
course,
what? Do you know what, Babbo? For me, I think Holly's absolutely spot on. The biggest thing in this game that's sticking out to me is West Brom are there for the taking. You can see why the second bottom. It's evident on this, and it does fill me with a little bit of confidence because I think, you know what, like Holly said, if we had a better team out now, this wouldn't even be a competition. We're playing far better. I just think that half time, but please, surely Jones, Bruce, whoever it is, needs to look at this and go, right, we need to just go up to third or fourth gear here because they're here for the taking. We're our lineup is not very good, as we can all see, and if you just change that, that personnel and make a couple of tweaks, we could have this game. We could seal this game 2-0, no problem. I think the first goal's key, and I just hope that West Brom don't snatch a goal, because if they do, it's going to be an uphill battle from there. But if we get that first goal, I'm confident we'll hang on, because West Brom have nothing. Absolutely nothing. And
what is that?
Just to take a point that Fumby said, absolutely agree as well, mate, on Dummy.
Whoa, they nearly scored there. West Brom nearly scored.
Yeah. They're cutting with a header. Yeah,
they're cutting through our midfield like shreds now.
But that what happened there was Willett gets the ball. West Brom are kind of in and around the 6-yard. Ball breaks to us. Willett gets it, hits it straight across the pitch to another West Brom player, who puts it in, crosses it in to Digne, who literally Dubravka dives to the right and produces it. It was heading bottom corner.
That Diegne's the threat, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. The other thing for me as well is not really seeing Hayden in this too much.
No.
I know he was carrying an injury, and he's looking. He was on that right hand side there when we kind of lost the ball, and he doesn't look. He's not. It doesn't look like he's really in the game to me at the minute.
He was nursing. Apparently, he's nursing an ankle injury and has been for a few weeks. And
he doesn't look right, Pete.
I've called him for the last couple of weeks, even before today, and said that he hasn't played well. And maybe that's the reason why. Maybe he is carrying that injury and he's not quite 100%. So who knows? Our lead. How do you think the game's been going so far?
Actually, as Fambi said, we are the better team. Even we are not with the best lineup.
Come on, Shelby, that's poor. That is.
Yeah.
And I think West Bromwich exhausted, maybe because they play earlier on Wednesday. They look tired. We should eat them alive. Actually, we need to change. And forward line, we need Andy Carroll, Gale to win this game, because I think it's a very, very winnable game.
Do you know what? I didn't realize. I forgot West Brom played on Wednesday. Now I'm pissed off about the lineup. We should have come to kill this team.
They play Thursday, didn't they?
They play Thursday. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
we should have come to kill this team. I actually forgot they played on Thursday. Why are we cautious against a team? They look so tired. I was thinking, why are they so flat? No wonder.
Oh God! I nearly scored again there. Jesus.
West Brom are coming back into it now. They're I think that's gone for a goal kick, but they're looking to create chances. We've had the better chances so far up until this point, but it looks like West Brom are just starting to get into gear now and just starting to push a few more men forward, and that's worrying with half time approaching. Martin, what are your thoughts so far? I know you've been hearing ahead of the rest of us. How do you think we're getting on?
Yeah, I think Fumby made a good point before. It's like we've got all this play, but we're not really executing at the top line. We've kind of punted a few useless balls forward as well. Like we seem to be. There's a little bit of panic sometimes sets in, whereas, I think we look a lot better down that left-hand side. I think what West Brom have done, Pete, is they have identified down the right-hand side or down our right, that if they come down the left, they can get at Kraft. So every time they're kind of getting the ball midfield, they're looking to go out towards our left and take on Kraft. So I think West Brom have started to pick up on that. Come on, lads.
Come on. Oh, God, you should have played it through there.
But, we've played some decent balls, some decent attacking football, but just the final third and decision-making has been woeful. There's Fraser there, gets the ball and just passes it straight to a West Brom player on the edge of the box.
Yeah, the work around the midfield area is good. We're playing some decent football. Fraser's playing a big part in our attacking play, as you would imagine.
West Brom are there for the taking, though, because they are poor.
They really are, and I think it might have been Chris that had mentioned, if we'd have had one sort of quality or two quality attackers on, whether it was Gale, Carroll, or even if we'd have had St. Maximin or Almiron today, you would have thought that we would have. I mean, Almiron's pace, for example, would have.
Yeah, Almiron and ASM in this team tear West Brom apart because that back four can handle that. And I think you give with those two or three. The other thing it does, as we've seen in games, is it does take the pressure off our middle where we might not have the legs because, if you attack, they can't attack. So, it's dead. Football is quite a simple game. It's not hard. If you keep them out of your area and keep them up the pitch, they can't get down and cause you a problem. So, I mean, it's not, I know Bruce doesn't do tactics, but, neither do I, but I can work that one out. But yeah, look, I think with those three, and Wilson, this is a different game. But I think Fumby's point is right. We've got options on the bench in Carroll, in Gale, in Richie, to add to this. Jacob Murphy for me would be an ideal kind of player to be getting on here.
He should have started.
I'd be probably when we get to the magical 65, I'd be looking at Murphy, maybe Murphy and Carroll or Murphy and Gale, maybe. Because I think they are there for the taking, and if we don't take from this, then we've only ourselves to blame. So, yeah, West Brom on the ball at the minute. They're coming down this left-hand side again.
Cool.
Ball into the box.
Corner.
Yeah, corner. Lascelles clears it.
They're going to be a threat on set pieces. I think that's where they could score from.
Yeah, it is. You can see that they've clearly identified coming down the left-hand side is easier for them because they're not getting really any joy off Dummett. Kraft again there, ball watching. I mean, he's got to be 6-7 yards off his man with a ball coming into the box there. Why is he not tighter? So just West Brom setting up for the corner here. If you want to stay with me, Pete's gone again, is he? He's got. Did he get broadband from? He got his broadband from Daz, I think, same supplier.
There's maintenance in the area, guys. So I apologise. It's not been great for me. Holly, we've not been to Holly yet. How do you think this half's been going on so far?
I think that we've done well. I know you dropped out and I spoke about it then. I think we've done a lot better than I thought, especially with this team. I thought that when I seen the lineup, it was going to be like a really bad performance from us, but we have done well. But that's a lot down to the fact that West Brom is just really, really, who are the very low quality side. And you can tell why they're in the bottom three. It does fill us with confidence, the fact that is kind of what we're up against, because really we shouldn't have any worries. If that's what we're competing against to stay up, we should comfortably be able to stay up. And like I said before, and like Chris said, I think that if we did have someone like Callum Wilson on the pitch who can score goals, we would definitely be 1 or 2-0 up by now easily. It's just a shame that we don't have anyone on the pitch that can put the ball in the back of the net. I don't think that West Brom will be able to score anytime soon, although they are getting more chances, which is worrying. I just hope that when it comes to the second half, we sort ourselves out and hopefully bring on a few subs and then don't allow them to get into the game, because I would hate to think that they end up nicking a 1-0 or something in the final minutes, because they don't deserve it and we need these points.
You're right, and I think that's the one thing that kind of fills us with a little bit of confidence is, I think Chris talked about it before the game, is that
it's awful.
Our first 11 is on the bench, so we do have some players that can come on and really change the game. You look at the likes of Murphy, Richie, Carroll, Gale, all options that you could potentially use. But Babbo, I'm not sure if you've mentioned anything about the game so far. How are you thinking with it nearly coming and approaching half time?
I think we've done well. We've controlled the game. We've created chances. We need to take our chances. As Holly said, this is a chance for us to get 3 points. And she also made a point that looking at what West Brom are playing, we should be safe. But I'm worried about Fulham, not West Brom, because
Oh my God.
Fulham just seem to find form somehow.
Well
So
done, damn it.
I am going to remain positive and say we're going to end up winning this game. If not, we draw it. But we cannot lose. We cannot afford to lose.
Yeah.
Not today.
No, I agree. Kieran, I know you've been really vocal during this first half, and obviously you're ahead of the curve with regards to what's going on. Look, how have you with it? What we've got 1 minute now. They've just announced 1 minute of extra time.
Yeah.
We're already quite into that. What's your sort of opinion or assessment of the half so far?
I think we're looking to play on the counter attack and playing like sort of long balls over the top. West Brom are starting to get on top a bit now. I mean, they've had a few chances. We don't look like scoring. We're just kicking the ball upfield without any sort of threat. As half time.
Okay. Yeah, half time which has gone. Just
Thank God.
gone to Allardyce walking in.
Absolutely shocking.
We're not losing. So that's one positive, but we have been, in my opinion, better on the ball. Nath, what's your assessment of the first half? Has it been better than what you thought? Is there potential for more?
I don't think we've played anywhere near as good as we could do. I think the first half for me has been a case of West Brom not being as good as I expected them to be. I thought I expected more from them, I think. But this game has got shades of the Wolves game for me, where we started quite brightly, and then we've had a couple of chances. We've not taken any chances, and then we've let them creep back into the game, and that's exactly what we did last weekend against Wolves. So that's the worry for me, is that we had a bright start and we've sat back and really let them get into the game when they've got no right to be in this game with the way that we started. So that's the worry, really, and that's something that we tend to do. That intensity drops off for us after that first 10-15 minutes, so that's what I'm a little bit worried about. Hopefully, they were creeping back into the game there. Hopefully this half time's a bit of a reset and we can get our foot back on the pedal in the second half. For me, I think Diane, I'm not sure how you say his name, but the lad up front for them, he's a handy player. I mean, and he holds the ball up well. He's a good target man. He's strong in the air. Everything that we're missing, he reminds me quite a bit of like the similar sort of style of Rondon, really. And I think that's what, like, he's a really good player for these. So I think we need to keep him quiet. And he looks like if he gets a chance, he looks like he'll take it. So I think if we keep him quiet, then we should be all right. But hopefully we can step that intensity up and get that press going. Because you saw I don't know if you saw in the Burnley game yesterday, the goal that Burnley got against Arsenal. That all came from a really high press and it was like a mistake. We could force these into mistakes today. They look shaky at the back, and if we could have a bit of 10-20% more energy in that final third, we can press these into a mistake today.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I agree about the striker Mbaye Diagne, I think his name was pronounced. He's been a good addition for West Brom in January, and he is a physical guy, and I think that's why, if I'm honest, why Lascelles is in today. To manage that physicality, and I think he's done okay with that so far. But Chris, your half-time analysis, how you think things have been going, and would you, if you were to make any changes at half-time, not that Bruce would, but who would you look to change?
Yeah, so this match. This match is absolutely there for the taking, and we seem to be on the back foot. We should be on the front foot against this squad, where even with this sort of second choice lineup, we outclass West Brom. We're just not taking advantage of our advantages, I would say. As far as substitutions, we're playing with no striker, so we got to put strikers on. I'd put Andy Carroll on. Or Gale, and I'd put Richie on in some sort of holding midfield or wingback situation, because we're absolutely getting worked on the defensive sides, giving Dubravka a lot to handle, and it just seems like we're not taking the chances on the attacking side, and we're giving up way too many chances on the defensive side. So I would have to change up both sides of the attack and the defense. And you only have 3 subs, so what are you going to do with that? But yeah, I mean, Steve Bruce got it. I would use the subs at halftime, not wait till the 65th minute or the 80th, 90th minute like he usually does.
Yeah. Normally that 65, that magic 65 mark where changes start to be made. But Chris H, your assessment of this half, it's obviously been mentioned in the chat, and a few of the guys on the panel have already said about West Brom coming back into the game. Was that to be expected? And what do you think going into the second half we need to do to win the game?
Yeah, it was to be expected. I mean, they've started the game really poorly, and they're not going to continue in that vein, are they? And I'm sure now at half time, Big Sam's going to have a word with them in the dressing room, and I'm sure they're going to come out probably in the same ilk that they left the first half. They're going to improve. They're going to get the game going, because we're saying, aren't we? Oh, this game's here for the taking, and I think they'll feel exactly the same way. I mean, it's been pretty close. And like I said earlier, Pete, it's time for the change, and it's time to use the players on the bench. I mean, for me, if I was in that dressing room and I was Bruce or Jones, maybe I'd certainly be looking to bring Jacob Murphy on. He'd probably be the first person I'd bring on. He's very direct, bit of pace. I think that's what we're lacking at the moment, and certainly I can't really decide whether it's an Andy Cavill game or a Dwight Gale game. I think either or would work. I mean, I suppose if you've got Cavill there, there's always a tendency to lump the ball forwards, which I'm not necessarily fully into. But against West Brom, maybe that's the way we should be playing. In terms of Gale, obviously he's been at West Brom, hasn't he? He went there on loan and did very well. And former players always have a habit of nicking a goal, don't they, against their old club. So I maybe would possibly bring Gale on. Maybe both, maybe Gale and Cavill. I think Fraser's been okay. He's obviously a couple of balls he's played into the box haven't worked out, but he's probably been our most effective front player out of him and Joe Linton. I just every game I just don't see anything from Joe Linton. I know he's putting the effort in, but there's just no threat, is there? I mean, I think Martin mentioned it earlier on, when he turns and shot and it just peed-holed to the keeper, and you just think, just put a bit of power behind it. So, the positive is it's still 0-0. We're still in the game, but I just hope we don't start exactly how we've ended that game. You want to see some changes. You want to see, a different approach, because I think if we continue how we did at the end of that first half, I can only really see West Brom scoring, and if they do, we're not going to score 2 goals, let's be honest. So, get on the front foot, make the change now, and try and, change things up a little bit, because if we continue in this vein, best case scenario is 0-0, but I could seriously see West Brom scoring.
No, you're right. I think it's been well documented that Newcastle need to score the first goal if we're going to ever win a game or get something out of a game. So getting that first goal is critical. And I can't even fathom a West Brom goal, because I think the whole of the Newcastle fan base would be on our knees if that would happen in the second half. Our lead. Your halftime analysis, and would there be any changes that you would make, at halftime if you were Steve Bruce?
We had 3 opportunities. One of them, I think, Kraft shot, and the other 2 we miss. There was lack of creativity in the assist before the final touch. That's mean we need to put someone expert in the box. We need to put Gale, Andy Carroll. I would like also to see Murphy. And we noticed there is a Joelinton and Fraser. They are fine, but they are better options for player in front. We notice West Bromwich Albion very exhausted because they play maybe 3 days ago. So we need, it's opportunity for us to put more player from the bench, fresh legs, and to attack them, because as we see now, especially last 15 minutes, we're just sitting on goal defending, and I'm afraid that one chance will slip out. We are not using the game in our side, because anytime we're gonna receive a goal, if we are continue playing with this, we need to put more player in the front. So if we attack with one more player, at least one extra, it will save us from the attacking from West Bromwich.
Okay, cheers for that, our lead. Martin, your analysis of that first half, how we going to get a goal in this game to hopefully
fix your broadband. Yeah, if any sponsors out there want to fix Pete's broadband, he's part of the NUFC. Yeah, I think for me, look, first half, I think Dummett's played really well. I think Willock has done well. I think Kraft and Hendrick down that side don't work for me at all. I think we're getting run down that side. So I don't think Joe Linton is going to give us the goal threat. I think we've seen that. So I think what I would do is I would probably take Hendrick and Joe Linton out of it for now. I think Fraser's done okay. And I would probably get Murphy and Gale in there. I think if you get Murphy and Gale, Murphy's pace and Gale's finishing, I think maybe we would pose a bit more of a threat. Backline, we'd be okay. Hayden is very, very quiet. Doesn't look like he's really in the game. Shelby's, pinging a couple of balls around, but then, defensively, Lascelles and Clark sometimes are just getting the ball and lumping it further forward, which, okay, Joe Linton's had one chance where he got the ball and brushed past the defender, but they're few and far between in 45 minutes. So for me, I would change it up. I'd get a bit of pace on there. I think West Brom are there for the taking. The back line looks disorganised. I would imagine they get tired, but, normally with us, we kind of lose our legs around 60 minutes. So it could either stay like this, but I think first team to score wins it. So I think that needs to be us. So I would change it up. I'd probably give it another 10 minutes, see how the first 10 pans out. And then I would get Gale on, and I would get Murphy on, and I'd replace Hendrick and Joe Linton is where I'd go. Pete's still frozen. Okay, who was after me? Fumby, what do you think, mate?
You know what? I've got a slight issue. Joe Willock has started 3 games now since he's been on loan. He scored in the first game. I respect that. I don't see how he's getting ahead of the long stuff. He's a long knee. He's here to just help, and we're just letting the Sean and Matty just chill out. I just don't get it. But in terms of this game, I think we've done well. I saw this coming. Bruce has just wanted to test the waters because he's not a great manager, and he's tested it. It's time for us to now put some sharks in it. We've got strikers on the bench. We've got players that can actually affect the game. I agree with what I agree that we get tired in 60 minutes, so I'm worried about that because we burn teams out in the first half because we're finally understanding the pressing game. But the issue is we burn out. But thankfully, if we burn out, we can take off the trash he started and put on some quality. So this could work out for us. I'm not too worried about West Brom because they played on Thursday, so hopefully they get tired too. But we have to take this game, man. I know I said 0-0 or 1-1, but this game is begging for us to say take it. And then we can abuse Steve Bruce after as well.
I agree, yeah, absolutely, mate. Go on, Pete. We weren't quite sure who was after me and Fumby, so...
He's froze again, isn't he?
He's froze again.
No, he's there.
No, his lips moving, so... maybe he's thinking about Steve Bruce or something.
Can I just ask a question just to the general panel while we wait for Pete to figure it out? Is it possible that we can actually start Joe Linton and Carroll?
No.
I don't. For me, I don't think that works for me, Babbo.
No, I don't.
I think I like for me today. I would have preferred to see Murphy on that right, Fraser on the left, and I would have liked to see Carroll and Gale in a straight 4-4-2. I think we would have been causing them a hell of a lot more problems than we are.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I think we have a double threat there because, Joe Linton, I've been saying this most of the season. It's no good playing a big striker up front in Joe Linton if he's not a bully. If you play a big guy up the front that's got 6'2", 6'3", and I look back at the big man, small man situation, and as much as we're all Newcastle fans, I look at Sunderland as a prime example. When they played Quinn and Phillips together, it was a perfect partnership. You had Phillips, who was predatory, and you had Quinn, who was great in the air. We know that Carroll is great in the air. Okay, he doesn't have the legs, but if you put him in that box to sit on two of those West Brom defenders, he causes them problems and he causes them to think.
Yeah.
At the minute, we're not doing that. If they've got problems and they need to think, they can't break out. If you then throw if you throw Gale into the equation, who we know is probably the most natural goal scorer we've got at the club outside of Wilson, it causes problems. And it takes away the issue of our midfield with Hayden probably not misfiring. Hendrick obviously hasn't been in the game at all, and Shelby playing ball the way he does. So for me, to trouble West Brom, we need to change it. So I would get Carroll and Gale on there, or I would get Murphy and Gale, or even Murphy and Carroll would work for me. But Joe Linton is not strong enough. Like the size of him, he should not be getting brushed away from a defender. He needs to put himself about a bit, and he's too lightweight for me.
I had an epiphany when I think I can't remember who was talking, because to me Fraser and Joe are basically and forgive me for saying this, a worse off Carroll and Gale.
I think for me, it would have been better to. I don't think there's any point in us bringing either Gale or Carroll on if they're not going to be on together. Because for me, as Martin said, we should have gone like for like against these today. We should have gone 4-4-2 and just give them a horrible game. I'm not one for pushing long ball football, but it would have worked today against these. Like those two up front, would have given them a terrible time. I think if we'd have had Fraser on one side and Richie on the other, like two players who can deliver into the box with Carroll and Gale up front, I think we'd have got a lot more joy today.
I agree fully.
Not being a number 9, not being a striker. We've seen this season. We've seen Joe Linton on his own up front. We've seen Carroll on his own up front, and we've seen Gale on his own up front, and they've all been useless on their own up front. So what's the point in why have we gone with that again? I don't know.
We gone with that. Exactly. Yeah, and I think the other thing with that, Nate, to your point is, like there are games like this where attractive football doesn't matter. You've got to be a bit of a bastard and get at them. You have to get the elbows in, and you have to run at them, and you've got to be niggly, and you've got to get strikers that want to get in amongst it and clip the heels and give defenders a rough time, make them earn their bloody wages.
Yeah. I think that's something about Ferguson teams that was always good. They'll play awfully, but they'll still win. It doesn't matter how bad they're playing. And it just seems like we can't figure out how to hack that. If we had Gale in this match, I'm sure he would have put one of those chances away.
Do you know what, Pablo? It's all about the second ball, mate. I mean, people talking about Cavill coming on, and I want to see Cavill on as much as the next person, but you've got to change the way you play. I think if you're putting Cavill and Gale on, it's all about the second ball. If Cavill's on there, you want someone buzzing around him for that second ball, because Cavill will hold the ball up for you, he'll flick it on, he'll lay it off, and you need someone around him. When you've got Cavill up top on his own, and that was the problem that we had in the early days, when we used to play too deep. And Cavill would win the ball or he'd protect the ball, but then he'd have to wait 10 seconds for someone to come near him. Yeah. So, you've got to play to his strengths. If you're going to use Cavill, play to his strengths. And the best game for Cavill this season would have been Sheffield United or West Brom.
And that you need a higher press with him playing, Chris.
Yeah.
You need your midfield and your one in behind the striker needs, and for me, looking at this formation, needs to be another 15, 20 yards up the pitch.
Yes.
Because if they're not, then you don't have that follow-up. So you're right.
Let's be fair. Willock is the only person that has the physicality to push forward in that entire midfield, because we need Hayden to stay back, because he's the only person that seems to be able to make a tackle. The problem with Hendrick, his game is suited for an Italian style, because he can't run. And for some reason, he always decides to stand 2 meters away from people. And I'm like, if you can't run, man mark the hell out of that person that he can't even touch the ball to begin with. But he seems to not I'm not sure if maybe I don't understand how the football game works, but as a defensive midfielder myself, if I can't compete with you in pace, I'm not going to let you get the run on me. I'll take you out before you do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Hendrick, he's not man marking. He's not passing good balls. He's not intercepting passes. And every time I see him in the team, it just proves to me that Brooks doesn't care who's playing well or not. He just has the people he's going to put in, regardless of how well you perform. And that's why I said a number of it could be anyone leaking stuff at the moment because they're like, I'm never going to get into the team, so why do I care?
The best defensive midfielders, Babbo, the best defensive midfielders and the best centre backs are the ones who read the game. I mean, I think Van Dijk said the quote, and I think he took it from someone like Maldini, and he used to say, "If I've made the tackle, then I've made a mistake. If I have to make a tackle, I've made a mistake." Because he's read the game, he's anticipated what's going to happen. That's why people say, Van Dijk's so good and he's so classy, because you very rarely see Van Dijk make a last-ditch tackle, because he's already read it and he's already anticipated what's going to happen. And the trouble is, if you've got a defensive midfielder who's a bit more reactive, you've got a problem, because he's going to always be put in a position, unless he's reading the game properly and unless he's, studying what's going on around the pitch, looking at the bigger picture. Because if you've got someone who just reacts to things, more often than not, you're going to get found out.
I just want to say, you touched on Liverpool there. I think we've got to win this game, because I think Fulham are going to get a result later at Anfield.
Have you seen the lineup, Kieran?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, no. I've just seen the Liverpool lineup. Then I'm sure Mane and Mane's not playing.
Oh God.
No. Let's have a quick look. So Liverpool lineup. I know I'm not sure everyone would be interested in this, but Liverpool lineup. So yeah, Alexander-Arnold's not playing. Mane's not playing. Firmino's not playing. They played a weaker side. So yeah, Fulham are going to be bang up for this.
Fulham are going to win it. I think they're going to win it.
They've got Reece Williams and Nico Phillips at centre back.
What's that about him? What?
Yeah, it's worrying. We've got to get points today, boys.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool might just be resting their players because they need a reset. They are playing too many competitions the same. They just need a break. So if they are going to sacrifice one game for a break, that's the game. Because let's not get it twisted. The Liverpool youngsters are still some of the best on the face of the planet.
Yeah, but but Fulham are a good team. They really are. They can beat anyone on the day. I watched them a lot this season.
Yeah,
they are a good team.
We'll have to wait
well against Tottenham.
Yeah, they did. They should have won. That
goal
goal that got disallowed was a joke. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
Also, what's the deal with handballs nowadays? Because I'm seeing highlights of some penalties, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Is that not a corner?
No, it didn't go. It didn't go for a corner. The one thing I'll say about Fulham is that they struggle to score goals. And I think with Fulham, with West Brom, with Sheffield United, I think that's been their big issue, is that they struggle to score goals. Same with Brighton, but Brighton don't concede many either. And I think that's our way in, because before our injuries, we were actually looking like a threat and scoring more goals than we ever had in the season. That beforehand. I think that's going to be our way. That's going to be our way. But look, I just wanted to touch on another topic, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Obviously, we've talked about the Longstaffs and we've talked about their issues at the moment. In your opinions, do you think the Longstaffs are finished at Newcastle, or do you think they still have a future? So start with you, Kieran. What are your opinions on that?
I do think they have a future. I personally think if the manager's still here, I think one of them could be gone. I don't know which one. Probably Sean, I'd imagine. I just don't think they like him, and that's my opinion. But if obviously, I'm still not sure about the takeover. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen with the arbitration shit. Get out, corner.
Yeah, deflected wide for a corner.
Okay, yeah, next time don't just stop like that because that was like Jesus.
I know that was horrible.
Yeah.
Me and Kieran are at exactly the same time, and I was
Yeah,
like,
we are.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the moment you said, "Oh," I was
Sorry,
like,
lads.
"God damn it!"
Sorry.
I'm never doing a
left-hand
watch along
side.
with you guys again because my heart has been destroyed today. Okay, I've got
Terrible, innit?
I got 3 streams on right now, trying to figure out which one's the furthest ahead.
I'm
Well, they're just about to take
waiting
the
for
corner.
go on, get in. No, that kind of thing.
You in your TARDIS, Chris?
No, but I think the Longstaff brothers, under a reasonable manager, would have a very bright future. A very bright future. Because if you think about it, for 2 people from the same family to even qualify to play in the Premier League is already insane.
What was that?
They have the energy, they have the fitness, they have the desire. Now they just need the assistance. And as Fumbi said, he's like, "Yo,
God, nearly
come
scored
into our
there.
club to come and get all his experience."
Jesus
West
Christ!
Brom had just put the ball over the bar. It was just a worked ball down our right hand side.
What was Lascelles doing there?
And West Brom guys free. I'm not sure who it was. I'm not sure if it was Diang
Matt
or somebody
Phillips.
else. Matt Phillips.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's from about 7 yards out. He skied it over the bar. Again, probably one of the best chances of the game now.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, he's got to score that.
He should have scored. He should have scored, lads.
Hey, that Gallagher kid doesn't like us, does he?
Oh, he's a good player, isn't he? He's a good
He
player.
doesn't like us at all. He works us every single time.
I tell you what, though, if they do go down and we stay up, we should make a point of trying to sign him because he's the legs we miss.
I think Newcastle will never do something like that.
It's not that,
Never.
Babu. I just don't think he deserves to play under someone like Bruce. No one should have to go through that.
No. Like I have seen Newcastle pass over some of the best talents in football because they refuse to pay £1 million above the asking price. We did that with Dele Alli.
Yeah.
£2 million or like 2.4. Buy him.
Gale's coming on, lads. Gale is coming on.
Here we go.
Oh, really? Really?
10
Really,
minutes.
yeah.
Oof.
Jonesy's given instructions.
Where's Murphy? We need to bring Murphy on as well. Get bloody.
I would agree, Kieran. I think Murphy's the one where we can really hurt them on the counter attack, and the sooner we bring him on, the better.
But we all know that that's gonna take until like the 75th minute or 80th minute.
Yeah, it leaves it too late again.
Yeah, Bruce, for some reason, does not believe in making the game his. It's not. It's when someone changes, then it's like, oh, let me react to what this person has done, and I'm like, no, don't be the person that always has to change to what people are doing. Sometimes set the pace of the game.
To be honest with you, the only mistake I think was starting Hendricks. I mean, because he's just useless. There's no point to start Murphy anyway.
To be fair, Hendrick is consistently average.
God,
I'm not sure that's a compliment. I
That's
feel like it's different in my mind.
Croft is absolutely crap.
Shot from about 30 yards out, where all he needs to do is control it and keep the ball moving. He's just skied it into the stand. An awful effort. And from their chance, we went up the other end and put a couple of balls into the box and made them second guess. But
he's coming off now.
Hendrick's coming on for Hendrick. Hendrick's coming off. So Gale's coming on, and imagine we'll go straight up top. Right,
switching to 4-4-2, is he?
Quite possibly. I think he might be reverting his style.
I just saw Kraft's attempt at doing the Zidane. It was quite close.
Terrible, isn't it? Bruce looked fuming. Bruce looked so annoyed at him.
Why did I sign this guy?
But we've now got a striker on the pitch who can score a goal. Yeah. So, the game is there to be won. For all of West Brom's possession and chances, when we go up the other end, we put them under some pressure. When that ball goes into the box, you can see the pressure on West Brom just to get rid of it. They don't know what to do. They panic, and with that, we still have a chance. Babu, you were just mentioning about the Longstaffs. Would you want to just finish your point, or should we move on to Holly?
Okay, let me just quickly finish the point. The point was basically that with most young players that are gifted, if you don't have the right people around you, it's very difficult to make it out. So they have the potential to be two of the best midfielders in the Premier League, in my opinion. Right? They just need. I said, in my opinion, right?
Okay.
Because if Man United are coming for Longstaff, and Udinese is coming for, if Udinese is coming for Longstaff, it means there are qualities that these people see in them. Udinese is not a so-so team. They are a team that's built on one of the hardest defenses to break down in the Italian league. I'm a Juventus fan, by the way, also. So I watch Udinese and I know the kind of players they go for. Unlike Newcastle, where we seem to not have a standard of what kind of players we bring in, these clubs look at the players and they're like, we know what we're going to do with you, right?
Yeah.
So if we can raise our standard just by a little to say this is the kind of quality we want in our players, our entire club will change its outlook just by having a standard of players. We don't need to have we just need to have a standard. Right now, we don't have a standard. And that is why we have large differences in the quality of people we have in our team. But hopefully it changes in future. I said, optimist. We have to look forward.
Does anyone think the takeover is going to still go through? I'm still not sure about it, to be honest.
I don't know if it'll go
Who
through.
knows?
I just think this Nick DeMarco, right? He's won every case that he's been involved in. But wouldn't it just be such typical of us for him to go and lose it? His only case he loses, it would be for us, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know if the case is going to win, but I know Sean and Matty Longstaff will not be the best two Premiership midfielders.
No, definitely not.
I know that, bro. Not under Bruce. Not under Bruce.
I said they have the
it won't happen at Newcastle.
They have the potential to be under a manager that supports them, right?
Come on, go forward.
Those are the criteria that need to fall in place.
Oh, that's so poor. That is. Oh,
great effort.
Oh,
great effort there. Great effort there from Willock. Another fantastic counter attack. You've got Murphy, Joe Linton. Willock makes the winning behind on the right hand side, squares it to Willock. Willock could cross it in, but he's shot at the near post, and Sam Johnson's had to make the save, and it's gone for a corner. Much better, much more direct from Newcastle, and the ball's coming from the corner, just over the bar. The corner comes in, Clark gets a header on it just over the bar. And yeah, so from defending our own box, we're then flying up the other end and they're having to defend a corner from us. So a little bit more life from Newcastle, I'd like to say. But yeah, Holly, your opinions on Longstaffs? Have they got a future?
I don't think they have got a future at Newcastle, unfortunately. I'm not happy about that because I think they're definitely talented players that have great potential. But unfortunately, I don't think Bruce can see that, and I don't think that he particularly likes them.
Oh, God, they had a free header there. Jesus, fucking hell.
When Sean first broke into the side under Rafa Benitez in the 18-19 season, I was like really amazed by him. I was completely impressed. I thought, wow, this guy's going to go on to be probably one of the best midfielders at the club at the time. Unfortunately, he got an injury which ended his season early, and then he never seemed to be quite the same since. And I don't think he's had a fair shot under Bruce. And then obviously Matty came in, had a perfect debut, scored against Man United, and you couldn't ask for anything better, to be fair. And he really looked like he was going to become a permanent person in the starting 11. But then obviously things happened and Bruce kind of lost faith in him and didn't play him anymore. But I think it's disgusting the way that they've both been treated by the club. I think they're holding back two young players and completely, ruining their chances of progressing as players, because I think it's unfair what he did to Matty Longstaff and convincing him to sign an extra year's extension when he clearly must have knew he had no intentions of playing him. If he wanted to keep him at the club, he should have signed him on a longer term deal and then sent him out on loan so he could get some game time to progress. And well, Sean, I think both of them will be gone at the end of the season, to be honest, because I don't think Matty will sign and I think Sean will be looking to move elsewhere. I think Bruce has a personal problem with both of them in that he doesn't like them as people, which I don't think should come into account, especially at the moment when we're in this relegation fight. And let's be honest, our midfield has probably been one of the poorest kind of areas on the pitch for me anyway, because I think Shelby and Hendrick have just been abysmal. So I would much rather have had the two Longstaffs in, but I think the reason that they've missed out is because Bruce has personal issues with them. But as a professional, you should put that to one side when we're in the position that we are and give them a chance so that we've got the best chance of staying up, because no matter whether you like someone or not, if you think that could be the difference with helping us stay out of the bottom three, then just put them in and put your feelings to one side and just grow up, because Bruce is so immature.
No, you made some really good points, Holly. Lots of good points. And the one thing that with the Longstaffs is they tend to do the same thing. They tend to really stick together. I think Matty agreed his contract, so it coincided with his contract finishing at the same time as Sean. So they are very much of the same mindset with these things. Martin, your opinions on the Longstaffs? I know we've had an opinion on them throughout the season, but do you think they've got a future at the club?
I think Sean has regressed massively since Rafa under Bruce. I think there's a player in both of them. I think we were talking there the other night on the Loaded Football one. Pete, you and Nath were on. We spoke about the Longstaffs. There's a clip, obviously the clip that's on doing the rounds on Twitter, of Sean kind of pre-injury and last season, and he looked outstanding. But I think it's obvious that the manager doesn't rate them. It's obvious that something went on with regards to contract talks and first team playing. And in fairness, if you've got an agent that is going to move you on because you're not getting games and game time anywhere else, then why would you stay in a job where you don't get to do? I mean, if you're a footballer, all you want to do is play. You don't want to sit on the bench. You don't want to be in the under 23s. You want to play ball in the Premier League. So, I think unfortunately they will move on, which is a shame. But I think there's also a piece for me with the two of them that were they ever going to be world beaters in the Premier League? No. And I think we also need to not hang on this. Well, they are Geordies, so we should keep a hold of them. I don't sit in that camp. I think you've got to be a player to be in that team and get it. But I think I would be interested to see them under a different manager for a season and get some game time, and then maybe talk about this in 12 months' time, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, the difficulty, I think, is that if they were to go on loan, they'd probably have to sign another contract. I think both of their contracts finish at the end of next summer.
Yeah,
they'd be free to speak to other clubs, I think. If I'm correct there. Yeah.
Pete's gone.
I guess who's going to come to me next? So I'll pick up where he left off. Yeah, like for me with the Longstaff thing, it's like I think if Bruce stays at his club beyond this season, I think both of them will be off. They'll be off elsewhere. But then I think we'll be in one of those situations where, like this season, we've talked about a lack of sort of goal threat, and then we've looked at the likes of, weekly we talk about Armstrong and we talk about Ivan Toney and the goals that they're knocking in other places. So I think if these two move on from us, we'll be looking at them in 6-8 months' time, saying, "Oh, look at how they're playing now. Look at how they're playing for X team. Look how they're playing for Y team." And that'll be the situation that we'll be in. We'll lose out on them, and then we'll miss their best years. We need to remember that they're both very young. And if you look at what is a central midfielder's kind of like peak years, what is that? 28, 29 usually, or something around that time. They're both very, very young, and they've both got a lot of developing to do, but they need to do that under the right coach. And Bruce obviously isn't that coach, because we've got positions that, our left back and right back positions we're short on players, but one position where we've seen us recruit time and time again is that centre midfield. Last season we brought in Bentaleb ahead of those two, and he was just awful, wasn't he? We've got Willock on loan this season. Granted, Willock streaks ahead of Bentaleb, and I actually do like Joe Willock, but we've got an abundance of homegrown players here already that can take up that position, and he just needs to get the best out of them. But he's not about that. He's not the kind of manager that brings players on, and his first signing being being Jeff Hendrick tells you everything you need to know about Bruce's mindset when it comes to developing young talent. And like I said, I was just saying, Pete, before you came back, like if the Longstaff leave, we'll be looking at them like we looked at Ivan Toney and Armstrong. We'll be missing them for sure.
I also think it's not even just the youngsters. Like we've had a flurry of players that we've messed up. With Florian Tova now will cost you at least 40 mil. The way he's playing.
He's one of the best players in Europe at the moment, isn't he?
And then
World Cup winner.
Then Alpha, which we just were like, you know what, just go. Like there is just like I don't know. I don't think Mike Ashley knew what he was doing when he bought a football club. He didn't have a plan. Because anyone that has a plan when you buy a football club, you're gonna build it like Arsenal. Let us grow these young players. Let us tell them, let's build that money, right?
I'll tell you the one that they should never have got rid of is that little Mbabu, the right back. He was a really good
one.
player. He was a really good
he's
player.
Not good enough for Newcastle to start.
Well, this is it. Stupid, isn't it?
Like I'm like, is either you guys don't know what to do with these players, or you don't know how to coach them, because every time they leave, they seem to just start doing incredibly well.
Look at Tavernier for Rangers now. He's taken up the role there, and he's like these arguably.
And then we're like, let's get him back. Let's get him. I'm like, no, you shouldn't have let him go.
Oh my God!
We need one goal.
We had like Remy Cabella, Mikel Merino, all immensely talented players, and we couldn't make a success of it. So it's down to the staff at the club that aren't getting the best out of these players. Because Mikel Merino, he was a baller. He was such a good player, but he's never got the best out of it.
To be fair, Rafa let him go though.
Even a Hatsulu scoring all the goals in the La Liga.
Did Rafa let Merino go?
Yeah,
I think he had to go, mate. I think he
wanted
signed a contract to say
he
wanted
his release clause was pretty low, and he was triggered.
10 million, wasn't it? 10 million release clause.
10 million quid. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have mentioned it already, but there was Kevin Mbabu.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah. He would have been. He was so perfectly suited to the Premier League. And when he played against Chelsea at left back, and was fantastic.
He was great.
But here's the thing, Pete. Yeah, if we kept Rafa as a manager, none of those players would matter right now. None of them, because we'd have players that he would have brought in that he would have liked. We wouldn't have Joelinton right now. That's for sure.
You know what Fombi just said? Rafa was not in any way going to let Joelinton come into his squad
ever.
And as soon as he left, Ashley was like, "Oh shit, I've lost the manager that's gonna do something. Let me
What's it, you greedy git?
By bringing in this Brazilian striker we've never seen play, who has not scored more than 10 goals in a season."
Oh, what was that from John?
You've got to score that.
Yeah, so if you basically have a manager that can tell what a good player is, most of the people on that list ain't coming into the club.
Never.
I kid you not, if Benitez was still in the manager seat, Carroll is not going to be here.
Why? Who would sign him?
Yeah,
Gale wouldn't be here.
Murphy wouldn't be here.
There are
a number of players we signed this season. They would never have gotten in because he's just like, bruh, I've coached in Liverpool, Madrid, Napoli. You ain't going to come and tell me what to do.
He's rubbish, isn't he?
Terrible.
40 million quid. Can you
listen? We might not even have maximum if Joe Rafa was at this club. He would have built a team in his identity, and we would love the team, a team that wins.
And now that's a fair point.
A bunch of because if we even after this season, Alan St. Maxim must be thinking, do I want to go through this again with this guy? You know,
Alan the Savior
sitting there themselves. Like, look at the Longstaff brothers now; they're just chilling. We'll just leave them already. Come on, man, we're done.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, St. Maximin wouldn't have gotten into our team either.
No, he wouldn't be running the show. Rafa would have curbed him. Rafa would have coached him better. Lewis would have been coached better. And it's terrible, man.
I just, it's disappointing because sometimes on Sky News and on TalkSport, when you see all these guys talking about like how the fans are toxic at Newcastle, I'm like, these are the same fans that were filling out stadiums in the Championship and singing the manager's name.
They haven't got a clue.
Right?
They
you guys tend to forget about those 2 years, right? You just come and I'm like, I'm like, so
it's Jermaine Jenas. Once he said that goldfish bowl thing, everybody's just been using that ever since.
Yeah, I'm like, look, we know the club is capable of having an entire ecosystem that's working towards one goal. Because you have somebody who's there that's not doing what everybody wants. It's why everybody is panicking. We started protesting about the manager as soon as he came in. and he used 18 months to play the way Rafa plays, so he could stay up for the first season. And then when all the drilling of Rafa went out, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do it my way now." And all the fans could tell, like, "No, don't do it your way. don't
Oh, come
don't do it
on.
the way that works."
God.
73 minutes gone now. Newcastle had a couple of chances. Joe Linton should have scored a minute. But West Brom are on the ball now. West Brom are on the ball, and they're putting pressure on our back line. Just the clearance a second ago from Kraft as the ball got whipped in. Players
God
are playing with fire at the moment because West Brom have just had a couple of really good chances to get the ball into the box. And
Joe Linton, man, get up, you lazy soft shite.
He's crap, isn't he?
Chris A, what's your opinion on the Longstaffs? Have they got a future?
You know, I thought they did at some point, but I think that they've totally regressed under Bruce, and I don't see them recovering.
What the hell was that?
At Newcastle, I think they've got to both move on, and there'll be either some guys that that the guys that got away and become good, or they'd be guys that we cut loose for good reason, takeover or no takeover. I don't see them in the squad next season, and especially if there's a takeover. I don't think that they are two young guys that you would build the academy, build the second team, like the young player set around. If you were able to bring in, unlimited funds kind of players. So it's unfortunate because I was there for Matty's debut. I was in the corner when he celebrated his goal with Carroll, and so it was a thrill to see that up close and to be a part of that iconic moment. But I mean that was sort of like one and done for Matty Longstaff. I mean, he hasn't barely got on the pitch since then, and John Longstaff is just, as others have said, got injured after some promising debuts and has never been the same player since, regardless of who's the coach. So, you always want to see homegrown players stay around and come good. I just, unfortunately, I just don't think I don't see it working out for either of the Longstaff brothers at the club. And so I'd move them on regardless of who the coach is, regardless of who.
Come on, Willock. God, that Willock's been awful, hasn't he?
You've made a good point. I mean, for me, the thing that surprised me the most is that Bruce has him, man, with Matty Longstaff, because he brought him into the first team. I've always had the mindset that Steve Bruce has never really favoured those players that were favoured by Rafa Benitez. And I think that, he's brought in the likes of Shelby that Rafa didn't rate. The issues with Sean Longstaff doesn't surprise me. Even the stuff with regards to Dubravka and Darlow doesn't surprise me either, because I think that he's prioritised Darlow over Dubravka because he can see Darlow as one of his players and one of his players that he's brought in, rather than Dubravka, who was a Rafa signing, effectively.
It's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's how Bruce does it. If Rafa didn't like the guy, then I'll get him to be on my side, and in spite. Steve Bruce is all about spite. He can say that he doesn't compare himself, but clearly he does.
What an awful game this is.
You've mentioned about the Longstaffs. You've had a huge opinion on them in the past. Are you even bothered about the fact that they're not in the team, or are you bothered about the fact that they could potentially leave in just over a year's time, or do you think they've still got a future at the club?
I think last year I was like, if Matty Longstaff wants to go, he can go. But at that point, I thought we were going to have Sheikh bend my head at the chairman, so we could pick Kai Havertz and Luka Modric and Toni Kroos. So I was like, man, he can bounce if he needs to bounce.
Oh, you're kidding me.
But that didn't go through. And
was that a foul?
Matty Longstaff was actually a good player. He actually came on this season and had a couple runs in the game. Sean Longstaff is what's saddened for me because he's regressed, like Chris said earlier. And it wasn't his fault. It's because he has a terrible coach. And he's regressed to the point where he doesn't care if Bruce likes him or not, or if he plays or not. He just wants to get out. Under Rafa, the reason why he impressed so well and so rapidly was because he was playing for a manager he respected, who he can say he's won the Champions League. He's Coach Gerrard. If I can listen to this guy, I will get somewhere. And that's not happening right now. So it's upsetting to see that. And now we need those two players. Joe Willock's playing today. He needs to go on the bench now. Matty Long's there are boys. He should have come under them. They're playing him. It's insulting. I don't think we'll lose them because we can't. Because it's not like we're going to be having a chance for Kitty next season to be bringing in. Shelby's done. We should be moving these men along. This is the youth. This is the future. But this is the problem we have with a chairman who's an idiot. He has no idea how to run a football club. And this is the problems we're seeing right now. It's embarrassing. 2 homegrown kids who can inspire fans and more kids to play football, and we're treating them like sidemen.
Al-Walid looks like he's just like, I'm done with this life. I'm done with this life.
I've got to be honest. Look, we're 78, nearly 79 minutes.
I'll take 0-0, bro.
It hasn't been entertaining. It hasn't been a great game at all. I think, and I'm sure the majority of you will agree with me, that we've just been as bad as each other. We've literally cancelled each other out as teams today. We've both been awful in front of goal. The Amazon Prime mentioned at half time that it was an awful game, and I think it's been well reflected of that. And it looks like, and I think there was 1 or 2 in the chat with their predictions before the game. It does look like that it's got 0-0 written all over it.
Do you know what saddens me? When those commentators just say, when you see this game today, you just realize why they are where they are in the table. You just think to yourself, we are shit.
Yeah. And that's a reality. We're not playing well. We are struggling right now. West Brom have just got a corner that they're floating in. The has tipped it to the back post, and then Clark's cleared it for another corner. So under a little bit of pressure now as we're approaching 80 minutes into the game. I'll just see this corner out, and then I'll come to you, Al-Walid.
Al-Walid called it earlier, so he said 0-0. He said 0-0.
Yeah, that was right. Al-Walid was at the moment has been on point with his predictions so far. Al-Walid, you're pretty good with your predictions, actually. You're normally quite spot on. Might have to start putting some bets on what Al-Walid said.
The maddest thing is when he said 0-0, I was thinking, come on, there's a goal somewhere. 78 minutes, I'm like, I'll take 0-0 right now.
Al-Walid's good at the predictions because Saudi's like ahead on time, right? So he's going match is over. He knows it's 0-0.
Nearly scored again.
It was very telling when Bruce said he doesn't think it's a must-win game. I was like,
yeah, what an
Who
idiot.
said that? Who said that?
Bruce said
He
it
didn't say that. He didn't say that.
In his press conference,
he said he doesn't believe it's a must-win game. They will try to win it. And I was like, bruh, if I was trying to defend you, now I've lost all the plot. It's like your.
So which one is a must-win game? We've got Tottenham, Man City, Liverpool coming up. Which ones are the must-wins?
Yeah, Man City's
a
must-win.
It's like your client going into a courtroom and be like, although I might have murdered them, I'm not sure if I have the weapon with me. And you're like,
my God, what is he doing?
What? Shelby has been awful today. Absolutely awful.
Have you noticed he's just been pinging it long? As soon as he gets it in, he looks for the long pass.
Oh my God, this is awful. This is one of the worst games I've ever seen. This.
It's up there. But I'll get to Al-Walid. Al-Walid, there's been a lot of talk about the long staffs. Obviously, they've not been in the team, not in the squad on some occasions. Look, do you think they've got a future at the club? Do you think they'll start to play? Thinking about, we all don't want this, but thinking about if they get relegated, if we get relegated this season, will they then become some of the regular players in the team? It's something to think about. But do you think they've got a future at the club?
Like now, Pete, we needed them now to play. We see Shelby, how is he tired? Hayden as well. Now they need to play, both of them now. So if we didn't use them now, so you can't blame them to leave. If Bruce, let's say, if by any reason it stays, I'm sure they are leaving. And Baba mentioned Udinese. They are interested in Matt Longstaff. I recall Solskjaer from Manchester United also been linked to sign staff earlier last season. So this is this is the thing I'm angry about. They need to play now. We need them. They are tired. How many mistakes? We are going.
Yeah, you're right, and you think he was rated at 15 million, or I think Man United were prepared at one point to pay 30 million for him, and he's gone from that to barely playing. He hasn't played great this season, but I do think at times Sean Longstaff has been made scapegoat for
Fucking awful. It is.
I go back to the Sheffield United game that he played. And I think he wasn't great that game, but nobody was. And he was the only one that was kind of dropped from the team after that.
He gave the ball away, Pete.
Yeah, no, he did give the ball away, but he didn't get a red card. That was Fraser, and Fraser's back in the team. Mm-hmm. He didn't give the penalty away. That was Fernandez, and he was back in the team. And so you've got to think, he wasn't directly responsible for Newcastle losing, although he didn't play well, but he was then dropped effectively after that. So I do feel that he's been scapegoated, on a couple of occasions, and maybe that might be his feelings, which is why him and Bruce have fallen out. But do they have a future? I honestly believe, and I said it a couple of weeks ago, in our new formation with 3 in midfield, I do believe there's a space for Sean Longstaff to play, to start. With Shelby not being in the team, I do believe, he could play in that formation with an extra midfielder. He'd be given the license to get forward. Him and Willett could alternate who's making those darting runs to get into the box, which is where Sean Longstaff is most effective. He would be given the license to do that and not be as worried about having to track back, knowing he's got 2 centre midfielders there to support him. I do think that there's a player in there. Equally, I do think that Matty Longstaff could also play in that formation. But the problem is that because they're not playing, they're not even coming off the bench at the moment, we have no idea of whether they're even going to be suited or not. And it is looking increasingly like, as the season goes on, that we're not going to see these players put on the shirt until possibly we're either in the Championship or, fingers crossed, we stay up and we're under a new manager next season. Because, look, as Martin said, we haven't got the finances to go out and sign a load of players to replace them if they were to leave in the summer. So I honestly believe, takeover aside, regardless of that they've got a contract for another year, and I don't see Newcastle selling them on. I see them seeing out their contracts and then leaving in the summer of 2022. But it'd be such a shame to have 2 academy prospects not being used or even utilised, and then having to be left and finding and building their career elsewhere. It'd be such a shame. They are Geordie lads. They love the club. They've openly said that, and we're in a position where we could potentially lose them, and we're not in a position where we've got. We've got to remember there's a squad quota now, and there has been for years, where you have to have young players that have trained at the club between the ages of 18 and 21 for 3 years, and you have to have a quota. You have to have 4 players in that squad that fit that criteria. You've got 2 right there, and we can't just afford to let them walk out the door in the situation that we're in. So it is a really, really difficult situation. 86 minutes, a ball just got whipped into the box. Joe Linton,
awful cross that was.
Not a great header to Joe Linton from Joe Linton, which we've come to expect. It's just nestled into the keeper, but Joe Linton's on the run now on the right hand side into the box.
No one in the box. Oh, what is that?
Yeah,
Did you see the shot about a minute? I know I'm about like 30 seconds or a minute behind. There was a shot of Steve Bruce and Graham Jones both on the touchline. And I know we've talked in the past about, Steve Bruce trying to sideline Graham Jones and put him back in his place, keep him up in the stands so that he's sort of out of the way and not seeing us calling the shots. But they're both on the on the touchline. It's like we have co-managers, and it's like I know officially they said, "Oh, this was Steve Bruce's idea." You know, his mates, whatever. Bring in Graham Jones, but it's very clearly like a power struggle that's playing out like in plain view, and it's always Graham Jones that's giving the instructions to the substitutes.
As a man, if other people have to be giving
like
you
assistant
instructions
manager on the touchline.
Yeah.
Why's Jacob Murphy not come on yet?
why is anyone
I don't
not come on?
understand.
Why is anyone not come on?
He's playing for
I
a
have to
draw.
say-
He played for a draw. He came to play for a draw.
I have to say though,
Look at him. Look at him.
Joe Linton made a really, really good run down that right-hand side. He's worked the ball into the box. He's cut it back, and there was nobody there. You know, you can't ask any more of a player that's trying to create a chance. You know, he's had chances that he's missed. He hasn't been great today, but he's been direct. All I would say is that we need someone else that can do that, because coming on late, someone like Jacob Murphy could change this game with a few minutes left. And I'm
Do you
surprised
guys?
it has not been made.
Do you guys think we'll be first on match of the day too tonight?
We'll be lucky to be on it.
So poor.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't even think. I think they'll just put up the score and the stats.
And just talk about
Nothing
it.
to see,
Nothing to see here. Do you know how depressing that is when you watch matches and you're not even lost?
There was one match of the day where Alan Shearer, they asked him for his commentary, and he was just like, I was like, that's why you know shit is real. When Alan Shearer is just like, I can't even be bothered to make a comment. Just let's go. Like he's been doing that more often over the last couple of months, because he's just like, we all can see what's happening here. You want me to sit down on national TV and lie to every other Geordie out there? No.
Match of the day should just show our 5 minutes or 10 minutes of commentary, and that'll sort.
I kid you, but that's why Alan Shearer is not on Match of the Day where Newcastle are playing anymore. He's not gonna lie to these people, right?
Guys, are we hoping for? Oh my God, are we hoping for a win, or are we just happy with the 0-0 now?
I think West Brom would be
Right,
disappointed.
it's like 2 minutes left. Unless we have like Jesus blood raining down on that, it's not happening.
Has he made another sub yet?
No.
He just brought on Gale, just one sub.
3 minutes left now.
Hey, we're going down in style.
3 minutes injury time.
Strapping. We're going down in style. This is amazing.
Shit, innit?
How one sub in the game we need to win?
Another ball into the box.
It's awful game.
Everyone out for a goal kick, but West Brom seem to be putting us under a bit of pressure now. I've got to be honest. I know you guys have touched on it. I'm absolutely stunned that we're only making our substitution now. I think Carroll's coming on with 3 minutes. Yeah, 2.5 minutes to go. It just makes absolutely no sense.
Bruce is going to say we went through it in the end. Bruce is going to say that we went through it in the end with the last 2 minutes to go. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it going.
Look, guys, we're getting towards the end of the game now. It's likely to finish 0-0 unless there's a miracle. There's a huge surprise in the last minute or so. Martin, what are your thoughts about the game? Is this 2 points dropped, or are we going to be fortunate enough to West Brom just nod one down, but it gets cleared by Clark? Are we going to be? Is it 2 points dropped, or is it going to be a point gained? What do you think?
I think for me, Pete, it's 2 dropped. I think we didn't set up right. We should have been going for all guns blazing on this game. And I know you can look at it and go, well, you know, ASM, you know, Wilson and Miggy are out. But you know what? He had options on the bench. I think not to start with Murphy and give us a bit of pace, I think was wrong. I think the setup, the formation was wrong. 4-3-3. You know, as Babbo said, you know, West Brom played on Thursday night. We look like the team who played on Thursday night.
Yeah.
We've been sluggish. Second half has been awful. The front, okay, we brought Gale on. Hasn't been in the game. Hayden has been poor. Hendrick and Kraft down one side have been awful.
What's he doing?
Willock has had a few chances. Dummett at the back has been a plus for me. But yeah, I think total wrong setup, Pete. Wrong formation, wrong selection. 2 points lost in a game for me that was as important a game for me this season.
30 seconds left and he's brought Carroll on.
With this team, and we play similar to this against Villa, I think we get beat. And I think similar against Brighton. I think we need to be Brighton and Villa now become games we need to win. We get to Liverpool, City, and others. Look, we're not going to get nothing out of those games. We're going to get routed. So, unless there's a major shock, then we need to change it up and hope that Wilson gets back, and obviously the international break in the midst of it. But it's been awful, lads, for me.
Yeah. If we play like this at Brighton, we'll get cut to shreds. They will give us a hammering. I watched them last night. They were quite good. They were unlucky.
It's not been pleasant. I have to be honest. And look, going into the next game, I think we're lucky that Grealish is probably going to be injured because
I don't know about that. I think he'll be back.
But that's fine. I mean, the
Grealish injured.
That's it. Shocking. Game over.
It is game over. Bruce and Allardyce shake hands. Bruce is motionless.
Dinosaurs. It shouldn't be in this game.
It's a point. It's a clean sheet. We haven't got beaten, but as Martin said, I mean, from my own opinion, I can only see it with 2 points dropped. Martin's got something on there. Because he's cabbage heat. Time to go, is it?
No, to be fair, we did not come to this game to win it.
Pablo, what's your sort of final full-time tour opinion?
We did not come to this game to win it. It's clear for everyone to see. If our bench is stronger than the people that are starting the game, we didn't come to win it. The players might be in the state of mind where they want to do something, but they don't seem to have any semblance of build-up play. Also, we learned that the players got 2 days off after a draw or a loss. And I'm like, you have to work for those days off. Right now, it's basically no one is taking charge. No one is in control. No one is making decisions. And miraculously, we're supposed to figure out a way to win games. And let's be fair, to be honest, if they sack Bruce tomorrow, Bruce is winning either way. £4 million in the bag. And you get to tank a team. And I kid you not, if they actually sack Bruce tomorrow and he puts a middle finger to all Newcastle fans, he's won. Let's be honest. He's won. He's tanked the club. He's made money out of it. And he's just like, what are we doing?
I can honestly see, it might sound crazy, but this is just my opinion of Steve Bruce. I don't know if you guys remember when Sam Allardyce got sacked and he used his payout to buy a new holiday home in Spain.
Yeah, I mentioned that last night to someone.
Stupid, isn't it? He named it Casa St James's.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that Steve Bruce, with that £4 million payout, whether he gets it before the end of the season or in the summer, he's the type of guy, and this is probably why they're best friends, him and Allardyce, is that he would probably do something like the same thing. He's just
Casa Ashley.
Yeah, I think it'd be something to do, something aimed at the club. I just don't think Bruce cares about the club.
I just saw Bruce.
We do.
Sorry, Pete. I just saw Bruce
about Man
giving
United.
Townsend a good nice team talk after the game. Well played. Just giving Townsend, the opposing team, just giving the player praises. We just performed the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. He's still on the pitch. I'll be at home by now. I'll be at home.
Look, right? I'm not sure. Maybe I got spoiled by growing up in the era of Ferguson. But when Rooney was like, halftime, you don't walk into that tunnel if you're losing. That's the level of brilliance a man can inspire other men to be like, yo, we don't lose and walk off that pitch. You run off. Right now, we just have a team of. Why was Shelby was like, oh yes, if you run for the manager, you get a team place. No, if you perform, you get a team place. You can't run on the spot and say you went to the gym. That's not how it works. There has to be progress. There has to be a sign of something improving. And I like to be positive, but like it's getting difficult, man. It's like getting into the sunken place. You just keep going down. You're like the light is getting farther away.
Well, it's worrying because that was a game I targeted 3 points, and now we've got to play Aston Villa next Friday. If they've got Grealish, we ain't going to get anything from them, are we?
even without
gonna look-
Grealish,
it's gonna be-
Aston Villa is still way better according to how they've played this season than Newcastle, even without Grealish. So
It's gonna
that
be-
is not a good factor for me. I'm like, now those guys are like, we don't have Grealish, we can't relax. We have to all be engines running.
It's going to be a difficult one, 100%. But I'm just going to go round. Oh, hey up.
Oh,
Don't worry, mate. You continue.
I'm just going to say I want to go round because I want to hear people's opinions. It's just come up on the screen there that we've moved up a place. We've gone a point ahead of Brighton.
yippee!
So hopefully Brighton get the same stick this week and then run into the Villa game like we've been getting for the last few weeks. That they're in a relegation battle. Because the surprising thing for me is that nobody seems to think that Brighton are in a relegation battle and they've been on the same points as us.
Oh, mate, crazy.
They can't win a game. They can't win a game.
I'll go to our lead's next to me, so I'll go to our lead and then we'll go to Holly next. So our lead, thoughts on the game? Deserving of a point, or is it 2 points dropped?
It looks like Sam Allardyce and Steve Bruce, they agree last night, let's make it a draw and relax this, and everyone will happy with a point and no injury as we see. Because we really lose a winnable game. I don't know why Joelinton play 90 minutes and Andy Carroll play 30 seconds. As Baba said, we are not coming to this game for a winning. We just want to draw. It's really frustrated because I know Newcastle players capable to play better than this, and we have difficult games. I think we have Liverpool and Manchester City in coming weeks, and we really waste another 2 points, unfortunately.
No, I agree. It's. I mean, that was a difficult watch, and it wouldn't have surprised me if Bruce and Allardyce have had a bit of a chat the night before and agreed. Yeah, let's just agree on a point and move on. But Holly, look, it was an awful watch, wasn't it? It was a tough watch. I mean, I feel fortunate that I spent most of that 90 minutes trying to sort out my internet. I didn't actually have to watch a lot of that game. I've got to be honest. What are your thoughts? As I've said to the others, is it 2 points dropped? Is it a point gained? Seeing as we've gone above Brighton today.
2 points dropped. If you're being positive, you could say, "Oh, at least we didn't get beaten. We got a point," but it's not good enough. There's no reason why we couldn't have won that game. West Brom were absolutely appalling, but then again, so were we. If we went into that game with a better, line-up and made subs at better times and just had a better mentality about the game, then we could have won it. And I said going into this game that if we don't win this game, we're down, and that's how I feel now. I just think that's it, because if we can't beat West Brom, who can we beat? There's no way we'll beat Aston Villa. I mean, I don't care what anyone says, that's just, I've wrote that game off. I don't think there's a chance we can get anything from them. And I just think that's it now. And I don't see Bruce going anywhere. And this is the worst part, is that we're just allowing Bruce to take us down. We're not doing anything about it, trying to, save ourselves before it's too late. We're just watching it happen in front of our eyes, and it's horrible to see. The fact that we can't beat West Brom, this is the thing though, it's the club's fault, because if we brought in a second striker in January, then we wouldn't have this issue, because we knew that if Callum Wilson got injured, no one could put the ball in the back of the net. And now he has got injured, and now that's the case. If Wilson had stayed fit, we could have stayed up easily, no question about it for me. But now that we've got no one to score goals, we can't win games, and I can't see us winning for the rest of this season, to be quite honest. I'm really, really disheartened by that game.
No, I have to agree, Holly. You made some fantastic points this afternoon. I'm of agreement with a lot of what you've said, particularly of where we're standing at the moment. Nath, we were told that I think it was Garth Crooks that mentioned yesterday that it was 36 points would potentially keep us safe. 35, 36 points. So we're what 9 or 10 points away from that. Based on today, do you think that, you know, is it a point gained? Is it 2 points lost? Can you see us going into that Villa game and getting anything?
Yeah, I think it's points dropped for us today, but I think that was sort of determined before the match even started for me. We got exactly what we came to get out of the game by the way we set up, the formation that we played, the personnel that we put on the pitch, as well as the substitutions that we made. Like we've seen Bruce make those substitutions like prescribed every at the same times in the second half. The fact that we didn't really utilise them at all well today, and left two strikers on the bench for the majority of the game, two strikers that would have caused them problems today. For me, like I said earlier, it would have been an opportunity to go 4-4-2 and just to play some horrible football against them today and use Andy Carroll and put them under pressure, but we didn't do that. So, you know, while it's fair enough that we've got injuries, but whilst we have got those injuries, if we're not making best use of the players that we've got available to us, then, you know, we're in big trouble, aren't we? I think for the Villa game, Villa as a team, when we started this season, we probably would have fancied ourselves to be somewhere similar to where Villa are at this stage of the season. Given the way that we started after the first game, we were quite confident. From the way that Villa finished last season, I wouldn't have put us like that far apart. But going into the season, we've seen how having a decent manager and how that's played out for them as opposed to where we are now. So I think it'll be a very difficult game against Villa. I think, you know, we're going to have to sit tight and hope our goal difference doesn't take too much of a bashing for the next few games and get through that international break and to get some of our key players back, because it doesn't look like Bruce has got a clue of how to set the team up when he doesn't have his core front three available.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's going to be, I mean, life goals is put in there. We've got Sheffield United at home, Villa at home, Fulham away, Brighton away. Must get 7 points from that. They're the sort of games that really we're targeting. And, you know, we have to get something from those games because, as we've already documented, the likes of Liverpool, Man City, Leicester, Arsenal, Tottenham are all still to come, and games where we're not going to look like getting any points from. So, Kieran, I've loved how animated you've been today during the game. Just random shouts of frustration and annoyance of what's been an awful game. So, look, what are your thoughts? I mean, you've made your point in that you don't think that we're going to get anything from Villa on Friday. But, I mean, on the basis of this game, what do you think of the performance? Is it 2 points dropped? Is it a point gained? Seems as if we've gone a point ahead of Brighton. And we're not going to be going into the relegation zone regardless today. So, you know, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm really worried now, to be honest. I said earlier on that we had to win this game. It's as simple as that, because I think Fulham are going to. I can't see Fulham losing at Liverpool, the team that they picked. So, I mean, if we're gonna go to the Aston Villa game and expect to win, we ain't going to win that. We do well to get a point out of that game. And Jack Grealish as well is apparently, it looks like he's going to be back fit. So, what's the point? You know what I mean? Our club is cursed. Our club is just cursed, isn't it? We don't get any luck. Yeah, we don't get any luck. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the arbitration. Are we going to win it? Are we not? I'm not sure. Just have to wait and see. But we've got to stay up if it's going to go through. Otherwise, what is the point?
I've tried to kind of stay away from the takeover and arbitration talk today.
Yeah, I have as well. I just can't.
So there's so much information come out in the last few days, and it's to and fro that it just needs to be about football at the moment and about the boys and what they're doing on the pitch. But Steve made a really good point actually. In the comments, he's got 5 points in the last 5 games. Carry on like that, and we'll get to 38. Cough. But if you look at where a lot of the teams are at, if you look at a lot of the teams around us, a lot of those teams have drawn games and they've gained a lot of points by drawing games and getting points on the board. Like Fulham. Fulham haven't won many games recently, but they've gained points by getting that draw here and there, and they've just clawed their way comfortably back in. But if we'll continue to pick up points along the way like this, you know, going into Friday, for example, we did it against Wolves and again today. Do you think, you know, Chris H, do you think we'll have enough to stay in the league, based on that performance today?
I hope we'll have enough, Pete. I really do. I mean, I'm having a mixed set of emotions at the moment. It's a combination of being pissed off, disappointed, upset. I can't believe, that Steve Bruce has done those substitutions, and that Carroll one with 30 seconds to go was just a joke. I just cannot believe he's waited until the 92nd minute to bring Andy Carroll on. He didn't show any ambition to win that game whatsoever. And as we've all seen, when we've watched it, that was a winnable game. We played against a very poor West Brom side today, and it definitely feels like 2 points dropped. I mean, from a positive point of view, it's a point gained in terms of the league table. We've now go 4 points clear of Fulham. I mean, I'm just watching the Liverpool game now. That's going to be me set for the afternoon, watching the Liverpool game, and then hoping Tottenham turn Palace over as well. But going into the Villa game on Friday, not feeling very confident. He needs to change that team. You can't go in with the same team on Friday, and if we do, we're gonna get torn apart by Aston Villa. I'm really disappointed that we haven't even bothered, to try and win. I say the manager hasn't bothered to try and go and win that game. Take a couple of risks. I appreciate he's probably thinking, we don't want to get beat, and I understand that, but it's desperate times. And when you look at our fixture schedule, the West Brom away game today, that was where you pick your points up. That's where you get your 3 points. And the reason I'm so disappointed and upset about it is because it was there for the taking. And really today, I was thinking to myself, even if we got a point and a half decent performance, maybe I could take something away with that. I mean, the Wolves game, it was deeply disappointing, and we made a couple of mistakes and ultimately conceded the equaliser. But I came away from that game thinking, do you know what, we had a good game today, and we should have had 3 points, and we deserved the 3 points. Today we've got a point. We didn't deserve to win that game. We could have won the game, but we didn't. And we at no point did I think that we were even attempting to win that game. And I think that's what upsets me the most, because I just think we should have been trying to win that game, and there was an opportunity for us to win that game.
He kind of gave it away in the press conference, didn't he? Like, he said that he wasn't like, it's not a must-win game, and you're thinking, what the hell is he going on about?
He's trying to take the pressure off the players, kid, and he's trying to make out, he doesn't want to say it's a must-win game, because if we don't win the game, which ultimately we haven't today, all eyes are on him. So again, he's deflecting it away from himself, saying, "No, it's not must-win." He knows it's must-win.
He can't take the blame.
Trying not to get beat from day one of the season.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we're lucky that we got the points that we did, because we could be down by now.
Yeah,
we're so lucky we are. Last season we were lucky we stayed up, and this season, well, we're probably going to go down now. But
look, Bruce in his press conference at the moment, he's already talking about the lack of attacking players that he's got available to him. He's already making those excuses.
They're all on the bench.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. So he's already throwing those excuses out there, and we've come accustomed to that. It's what Bruce does. Unfortunately, anything to protect himself from any criticism. We know we're attacking players on that pitch that should have started the game, let alone come on a sub. The likes of Jacob Murphy in such a counter-attacking game for either side. The fact that he's not come onto the pitch, considering what he was doing to Wolves last Saturday, is baffling to me. But yeah, it's a difficult one. I think it was Alan Thompson. He mentioned on there that I'm trying to keep Bruce in the job. Trust me, I'm not. If I could get that guy gone from the club, then I would do that 100%. But it's important to look at where we are. We need 8 or 9 points now to kind of guarantee us staying in this league, because Fulham at the moment, although they're having a lot on the board against Liverpool, could quite easily lose this game, and then we're 4 points clear of them. And so they've not only got to make up the 8 or 9 points that we need to stay in the league, or we feel we need to stay in the league, they also need to make up the additional 4 points that we are ahead of them. Hopefully, if Liverpool get the job done today.
Don't forget, sorry, just to interrupt, mate. Don't forget, we're very fortunate today in the Liverpool-Fulham game that Liverpool I mean, what is it? 5 wins, 5 losses on the bounce at Anfield. I mean, this could be 6, and they must be worried over their top 4 position. So Liverpool, make no mistake about it. Liverpool need 3 points today. So they've got to go all out for these 3 points, which works in our favour. And again, we're lucky that Liverpool need these 3 points. I mean, God forbid. Imagine Liverpool were in the position City are in now.
Yeah.
We'd have no hope.
Definitely. 100%. And the fact that Fulham can't score or struggle to score plays in our favour. But come to Fumby. Fumby, been quality to have you on the show for the first time today. What's your opinion moving forward? Because you are very opinionated on Bruce's stance and how Bruce is as a manager. Do you think this is a point gained or is it 2 points dropped? Do you believe that we've got enough to stay in this league from what you've seen today? You're on mute, mate.
Sorry, I do think it's 2 points dropped. I don't really listen to Bruce. I don't really take him seriously. Like, I didn't even realize he said it's not a must-win game. And when you look at that game, you realize, I don't think we have to win this. And then he's coming to the press conference saying, we're disappointed we haven't come here and won. You just can't take that man seriously. I think it was Nate that said earlier how when we the first game of the season, we were feeling confident. We think we'd be above Villa. But what he failed to mention was we beat West Ham in that game. And we thought we're going to be laughing at West Ham. That puts you for top 4 right now. So we've lost everything. Do we have enough to stay in this league? If we do, it won't be because we won games. It literally because Fulham couldn't catch us. That's the only way we stay in the Premier League. Yeah. Other than the reason why no one mentions Brighton is because they play football. Brighton will turn us over if we play like this. Villa will turn us over, not even having to play well if we play like this. So we have serious problems. And the biggest one is we have a useless manager and a useless owner. And the only way we stay in the Prem is if Fulham can't catch us. We need Liverpool to win today. I think they will because they are still a better team, but we have issues.
I agree. I do believe that Liverpool will win today. I don't think it will be a rout. I think it will be a close game. I think they'll do enough. They'll do enough to get the 3 points. Steve, welcome to the show.
Sounds on.
What's your opinion on the game? I know you watched it and you were commenting throughout. Do you see it as 2 points dropped or a point gained from the performance today?
It was an awful game to watch. Didn't expect it to be a game for the purist, but the most disappointing thing, and I think the panel covered it, was that there was ample opportunity for Newcastle to get the win with the quality that I had on the bench, and that was the most disappointing thing today, that we didn't use it. It was very much a case of Bruce and co seeming frightened to make any changes in case that led to a mistake which cost us the game. It was finely balanced. It could have gone either way. Newcastle had the lion's share, really, I suppose, of chances. And yeah, I mean, look, it's really an opportunity to lose 2 points rather than a point gained. And you're not going to get a better chance to cement your place in the Premier League. I just thought we could have been a lot more determined up front, a lot more. There could have been a lot more creativity, and I just really disappointed. And Bruce, I listened to the press conference there, like you were, and he all the excuses were ready made. He was making the excuses before they got on the pitch. No ASM, no Callum Wilson, no Almiron. So he's lost his front 3. Did he make the right decision to put Joe Linton in instead of Andy Carroll? I still think he didn't. I think I'd rather have got a good half hour out of Andy Carroll, who would have run his socks off. If he'd pulled up with an injury or gone down, it wouldn't have been, anything that would have affected the rest of the season for me. But we might have got a goal out of him. He's the kind of person who can cause havoc in the back 4, and it could have just unsettled them. But other than that, there's not really a great deal of positivity I can say. I'm pleased we've got a point. I'm pleased we haven't lost. And, now we're sitting and watch Liverpool versus Fulham and just hope that Liverpool can get out of the rut they're in and get back to winning ways. And if they do, then it hasn't been a bad weekend. You know, we've gained a point. Everybody else around us has lost. We get a chance to go again against, you know, the likes of Brighton, Sheffield United and Fulham before the end of the season. So, you know, it's still in our hands. And that's the way I suppose we've got to look at it. And hopefully, well, you know, it's looking likely anyway that we will have our key attacking players back. I think it was about steadying the ship today as well, Pete. You know, they've had an awful week, which you quite rightly said was caused by Steve Bruce's press conference last weekend. You know, coming out with, you know, the stuff that he did about, you know, 2, 3, 4 players and, you know, basically just throwing them under the proverbial bus. And I just think, you know, ultimately, you know, that puts an end to that week. Let's hope there's no more stories that, you know, that Craig Hope's got lined up ready to bring out this week, because if it is, then that's just going to continue it. We'll park that week, we'll forget about it, we've got a point in the bag, we're a step closer to staying up and just try and be positive. And, you know, that's my feeling. I think man of the match for me was Dummett. I think most people in the chat spoke about Dummett more than once today, but watching him, it was great to have him back in there. It was a perfect game to bring him back in. And, yeah, we got away with it in the midfield. Shelvey and Hayden. Hayden, as everyone's saying, is carrying a knock. Shelvey, you know, had his one good game in 10 last week. But this, you know, this week he's, you know, reverted to type, strolling round, walking round, hands on his hips. Man of the match in the chat, other than yourself, Pete, you had your internet issues, but fair play to everybody for stepping in and doing their bit and covering for you when you were away. But I thought Kieran was outstanding. You've already picked him out. Kieran was outstanding. Yeah. Man of the match today, lad. You were, honestly, at times I was in absolute stitches because as some people were trying to make some points, you were coming over going, oh, for God's sake, and you just had to have you had the loudest microphone, which made it
the worst game ever, that was, wasn't it? God.
Yeah, I think Q-Tech will have to knock up a Kieran t-shirt, like, I'm sure John will do that at some point. But honestly, the panel's been great, and well done, Pete, you've been superb, mate.
Kieran's got a 90-minute rant t-shirt, you know.
90-minute rant, yeah.
Sorry, I was moved around in the lineup here, so I didn't get a chance to weigh in on.
It was deliberate because I did want to put Kieran in between two minders. I wanted to put him in between Chris and Nathan, who I was chatting to throughout the show, because I was honestly I couldn't have done today's show. I had tears streaming down my face every time you tried to say something, Chris. It was just unfortunate that Kieran was going, oh my God! Honestly, you can't script that kind of stuff. It was good to watch, guys. But well done, Pete. And it's Chris Hall is taking over on the next one. But Pete, I'll let you finish off, mate. I've done the sponsor shout out, so I'll leave it to you, mate.
No, I just want to say thank you for the viewers, and thank you for you guys, the panel. You guys carried it on when I was too busy trying to start my internet. I apologise. It's never been like that before, but they are doing work on the street today, so I've just suffered because of it. But hopefully you'll have me back, and I'll be able to hopefully stick out a full show and do it again. But really enjoyed it.
Who's your favourite comments? Who's your favourite comments been, Pete? Because Life Goals is wanting to know. I would have said Mike Gent, who has painted a horrible description of him doing a helicopter if Newcastle scored.
Oh, God.
You know what? There's been quite a few. I think Paul Hodgson's made a few good points today in the chat before the game and during. So I would say comment of the game for me is Paul Hodgson.
Good stuff. Great stuff. Go on then, Pete. You can finish off, mate.
No, I just want to say thank you. Appreciate you guys. You know, we managed to get through that somehow because that was a god-awful game, we've got to be honest. And look, we've got a point. It's better than none. We're still in the fight, and we go again to Villa, and that's what we are as Newcastle fans. We just have to keep going and keep plugging away.
Let's go Liverpool, beat Fulham.
Yeah, need Liverpool to win. Definitely.
Fingers crossed. Don't forget, I am back tomorrow night with Chris Hall and with Pete at 6 o'clock. We will be doing the 5-minute rant. So if you've got some points to make and you want to come on live with me and the guys, then join us at 6 o'clock till 7 tomorrow. 7:30 sees me back with the girls. Ladies' night, Holly, I'm sure, will be joining us along with the rest of the panel. to get through this exciting game that we've just watched. Plenty on the channel as well this week. The 10-minute interview that we did with Alan Shearer is now up there. It's takes prime position on the YouTube page. So catch up with that. It was 10 questions in 10 minutes, which is good. Coming up, Ian Lafreniere, the maker of The Likely Lads and I Feed His Own Pet, does his second Q&A with me. Really enjoyed doing that, but it's with all of your questions. And don't forget, on my Twitter, you can find that, the Bobby Robson books and DVD donated by Chris Hall. Thank you very much, Chris, for the food bank. I think that was at about 150 quid last time I looked. Signed, obviously, to Chris, but from Bobby Robson. Priceless book to have. A couple of books and a DVD. All proceeds going to the food bank. So well done, Chris Hall, on that. And that will be concluded on Friday. But panel, well done. Pete, well done. Look forward to seeing you all for the next match. Have a good day, and let's hope Liverpool can get the result. Take care.
Cheers, Steve.
Yeah, guys.
Bye.
Hey, guys.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past.